o'clock. And I want to welcome all of you to be here at an earlier time. For those of us in the club, we usually meet at 7, but thank you for coming earlier. We're going to continue to roll people in as they show up. We want to start by introducing you to Yvonne Brandon and Jeffrey Levin, who are going to be our presenters for Project 2025. And they are going to be speaking for about 40 minutes, and then we'll take questions, and then we will be beginning our general meeting at 7 o'clock. We would like to ask you all to mute yourself and to refrain from doing any kind of chatting during the presentation. So if you would all go ahead and make sure that you are muted, I'm going to turn this over and welcome Yvonne Brandon.
Thank you very much, Jeannie, and I'd like to thank the Northern Solano Democratic Club for inviting Freedom Writers Collaborative and giving us this opportunity to share a deep dive into Project 2025. It's a chilling, nearly 1,000-page conservative leadership mandate with a great deal of specificity on how it will be implemented. And just to kind of give you an idea of when I learned about this thing. On the first full day of Washington State Democratic Convention back in June, I had an opportunity to speak with this young couple, at the People of Color Caucus. And at the end, we were standing around just kind of chatting before the next event. And I asked the young lady, had she heard of Project 2025? She said no. So I gave her the Cliff Notes version of some of the horrible things that democracy destroying things that are in this plan. And she looked at me kind of cynically and said, that sounds like a conspiracy theory to me. And I said, look it up. This is real. And this is a clear and present threat to our democracy. To me, Project 2025 really feels like a compilation of The Handmaid's Tale, George Orwell's 1984, and Fahrenheit 451, all kind of coming together in this horrible, dangerous plan to end democracy as we know it. They were not quite ready in 2017 because they really didn't think Trump was going to win. But if Trump gets elected this November, they will be ready to press the button on their plan the moment he is declared the winner. I caution you this way because they will not wait for the inauguration. It will begin right away. But before I dive in, I think I should share how I became aware of and alarmed by Trump's Project 2025. Jeff and I belong to a multi-state indivisible chapter called Freedom Writers Collaborative. And what we do, we build ready-made, research-validated social media toolkits to educate voters and raise awareness about issues that affect their lives, especially to reach digital natives, the 18 to 24-year-old group, who told Pew Research that they get 100% of their news from social media online. So in the summer of 2023, we Freedom Writers began discussing Project 2025 and decided to build a social media toolkit on the subject. We have an incredibly gifted graphic designer who creates the memes that you're going to see throughout the presentation and a few more at the end. So my role on the team is writing text to accompany these memes that go into our toolkits. So I downloaded the Heritage Foundation's 920-page document to get talking points to attach to the graphic to give context to each one of the individual memes so that I could write text that would be relevant for each one. Well, just scanning the document made me physically ill. So a few weeks later, I was in a MoveOn.org meeting, and I, with hair on fire concern raised at the time that there didn't seem to be any urgency or even awareness of this sinister plan. The press wasn't even covering it. Now they are. I mean, it's a noun, a verb in Project 2025 every time you turn on MSNBC. Well, the Move On folks asked me to make a presentation to the group. So I went back to the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025 PDF, and I read it more closely, and I pulled out some of the more distressing details from those pages. And that's what I'm going to share with you tonight. But before I do, my fellow freedom writer, Jeffrey, is going to play the Freedom Writers Project 2025 video that we released with the subject toolkit. And I warn you, it's a bit disturbing.
President Trump, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you.
I want to dive right into this, a lot to get to.
Good.
The media have failed to expose Donald Trump in a framework that communicates the danger of a 2024 Republican presidency. They continue to treat him as a regular candidate and not the leader of a dangerous anti-democracy party. His Republican Party doesn't even have a platform and has become the first party in modern history without one. The obvious reason is that without a stated platform, their unpopular ideas cannot be challenged in open debate. But in their hubris, they made a mistake.
Project 2025. It's a call for you to come work here, Washington, D.C.
A cluster of right-wing extremist groups got together and put all of their dangerous ideas in a 920-page document called Mandate for Leadership, Project 2025. This is the playbook for what they want to happen to America, should Trump or any other Republican president take office after winning the next election. Project 2025 is the doom of our multicultural democracy and the end of the rule of law. It dispenses with constitutional checks and balances and concentrates almost unlimited power in the executive branch. The diabolical plan that is Project 2025 was created by Christian nationalists and funded by the fossil fuel industry. Project 2025 has action plans to take away the rights of minorities, quote-unquote leftists, LGBTQIA plus Americans, and anyone who opposes extremist right-wing ideology. Project 2025 is the Mein Kampf of our age, the fully formed master plan for the takeover of the federal government and its weaponization against its own citizens. Now that we know their plan, we can alert voters to this danger. Help us spread the word by going to www.freedomwriterscollaborative.org and share our Project 2025 social media kit.
Thank you, Jeff. If you go to the agenda, I'm gonna take you for the next 40 minutes or so. I'm about to take you through some details that may cause you to lose some sleep tonight, knowing that if Kamala Harris does not win in November and Donald Trump does, we will begin living in a United States of America that most of us will not recognize. And thanks to Project 2025, if Trump wins, this is probably the last vote that we the people will ever cast. He will become a dictator on day one, as he continues to promise. And again, they will not wait for the inauguration. The slide you're looking at now is the Heritage Foundation and 110 right-wing organizations who have built a corporate level execution plan throughout this document, all intended on packing the next GOP MAGA administration with extreme loyalists to Donald Trump. And we highlighted a couple of people here that you might recognize. Mark Meadows, for example, was Trump's former chief of staff. He is CEO of the Conservative Partnership Institute with their $36 million annual budget from private donors. His group operates as a full-service nerve center for right-wing activity and a breeding ground for the next generation of Trump loyalists. And take Stephen Miller. He's the architect of Trump's family separation at the border policy. He is CEO of America First Legal. They're the group that is going after diversity, equity, and inclusion in private and public institutions under the grievance of reverse racism. And how about Charlie Kirk? He's CEO of Turning Point USA. They advocate for conservative politics in high schools, colleges, and university campuses. Some of the college presidents you've seen who've been called to Congress for one thing or another has been fired from their institutions because of pressure from Kirk, who's a donor to many of those colleges and universities, and they're afraid that donations will get cut off. Can you go to the next slide, please? So there are 4 pillars to this devious plan. Pillar number 1 is the policy agenda mandate for leadership, otherwise known as the conservative promise. Think of it as their policy Bible, and those are their words, not mine. The entire book's sole purpose is to reshape federal policy to shift from societal and constitutional norms that we've lived under for 248 years and could result in termination of more of our freedoms. We must alert citizens to the dangers and encourage them to vote in November to save our fragile representative democracy that has been, until Trump, the envy of the world. Pillar number 2 is their personnel database, where resumes from conservative scholars, academics, and policy experts are being compiled. You can think of this pillar as the conservatives only LinkedIn database, where the authors of this policy set a goal of having at least 200,000 recruits already in the database as a way to have a readily available pool of ideologically aligned people to pull from when it comes to filling all the positions they plan to create as they fire the civil servants who hold those jobs today. Again, these are their words, not mine. Pillar number 3 is the Presidential Administrative Academy. It's an online educational training system built to indoctrinate potential U.S. government employees under the rules of the next conservative president. The people who submit their resumes and apply for those jobs are first required to make a loyalty pledge to the president and to obey, dear leaders, every command or face dismissal or even imprisonment, depending on how he feels. Remember, Trump fired FBI Director Jim Comey days after they met, because when Trump asked him for unquestioned loyalty to himself, Comey told Trump that his pledge was to the Constitution of the United States and the rule of law, not to a person. And he went to a field office, I believe in California, and looked up at the screen and found out he was fired. And they wouldn't even let him come back on the plane. He had to, well, he did come back on the plane, but the person who allowed him to do that got in a lot of trouble. Pillar number 4 is the transition plan in a 180-day playbook that is driven by the policy agenda itself as a roadmap. The Heritage Foundation's preamble has been around for decades. Pardon?
What? You can have it all.
Okay.
Okay,
Anyway,
I'll
the
take
Heritage
one.
Foundation's preamble.
Leave it, eat it or leave it.
Excuse me.
It's not on mute.
Yvonne, let me pause and
Yeah, excuse me. We have somebody that is not muted.
Oops,
Okay.
oops, I'm sorry.
Yvonne, if you can unmute yourself. And I'll go back to screen share.
There we go. Okay. So I was going through pillar number 4, which is the 180-day playbook. It's driven by the policy agenda as a roadmap. The Heritage Foundation's preamble, it's been around for a long time, all the way back to the Clinton era. And in fact, I think maybe, Ronald Reagan, I think it was conceived back then. Anyway, it's the Newt Gingrich's contract with America had something to do with this too. A prelude to the handbook states, quote, "Our goal is to assemble an army of aligned, vetted, trained, and prepared conservatives to go to work on day 1 to deconstruct the administrative state," end quote. Together, folks, these 4 pillars make up Trump's Project 2025. And why should we care, and what can we do about it? Well, first, we need to know some details. So I did a chapter by chapter deep dive into the details of this diabolical plan to dismantle government as we know it. And I'm going to take you through some of those details, then we can discuss actions we need to take to make sure everybody knows how important it is to vote in November for the only functioning political party that is still believes in democracy. Next slide, please. So let's start with government takeover. Chapter 3 is entitled Central Personnel Agencies, Managing the Bureaucracy. This is part of the mandate that will undermine the checks and balances in our government and give Trump and future presidents dictatorial control over federal agencies. One of the key elements of Trump's Project 2025 is an administrative goal to reinstate the executive order that he put in place when he came in the first time, known as Schedule F. This would reclassify thousands of federal employees as at-will workers and give the administration the ability to fire employees who don't agree with or follow the extremist policies suggested by Trump and his minions. Think about this. They want to replace thousands of civil servants with scientific or other expertise with people chosen for their political loyalties and willingness to follow orders without question. Project 2025 would gut requirements for overtime pay and make it easier for companies to classify workers as independent contractors who have few, if any, legal protections that employees normally have. It would also weaken workers' ability to organize and form unions. And just try to imagine how many people of color hold these federal jobs all over the country and how devastating it will be to many minority families and communities. Project 2025 has created a training academy, as I spoke about earlier, for potential employees of the next Trump administration, which, quote, provides aspiring appointees with the insight, background knowledge, and expertise in governance to immediately begin rolling back policy and advancing conservative ideas in the federal government. Again, their words, not mine. 2 days ago, it's fresh, new. ProPublica, which is a nonprofit newsroom that investigates abuses of power, uncovered 14 hours of never before published training videos that intend to train this army of political appointees to, quote, battle against the deep state government bureaucracy on behalf of future Trump administration to ensure it remains on track, end quote. ProPublica actually reports that 29 of the 36 speakers on these training videos worked in the last Trump administration in some capacity. The goal of the training, which currently consists of only 4 courses, it did until we found out about these 29 that had never been seen before. But subjects like conservative governance 101 and the administrative state and the regulatory process. It's intended to prepare and equip future political appointees now to be ready on day 1 of the next Trump administration. Keep in mind, if Trump doesn't win, they'll put Project 2025 in a file cabinet until they get the next conservative guy in office. Project 2025 makes it clear that the Department of Justice will not be independent from the executive branch. All the power will be held in the executive branch. It also implies that the agency can take legal retribution, if you will, against whomever Trump decides to investigate. And he's already promising that. Kevin Roberts is president of the Heritage Foundation and therefore one of the main leaders of Project 2025. He has suggested that a second American revolution will occur if a Republican president wins the White House this November. Specifically, he said, and I quote, "We are in the process of the second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be," end quote. That should chill you to the bone. And that's what I call saying the quiet part out loud. They are very serious about this. Project 2025 director Paul Dance, who you saw in that video, he served as chief of staff at U.S. Office of Personnel Management during Trump's administration. He was fired a few days ago because Trump began to see how unpopular tying him to Project 2025 was as vulnerable to his campaign. But before Dance was relieved of his duty, He had appeared twice on criminally indicted federal felon Steve Bannon's War Room podcast and encouraged viewers of the far right to send their resumes and participate in Project 2025 training and become part of the next conservative administration. All right, next slide, please. Christian nationalism. There are references to religion 115 times in this document. And here are some of those highlights. Under Christian nationalist order, a healthy society is based solely on the biblical definition of family, a biological mother, a biological father, and their natural born children. LGBTQ plus families will not be recognized. They will encourage private businesses to follow the Supreme Court ruling that affirmed discrimination against LGBTQ people, as in the case of a Colorado web designer whose name was used in a case brought before the Supreme Court in 2017, saying he was harmed by a web designer who refused to make a same-sex wedding website for him. His name, phone number, and email address were used in the court filing. And when he was contacted by the Associated Press, he said he knew nothing about this case and said, quote, "I was incredibly surprised given the fact that I've been happily married to a woman for 15 years. And then he added, I am a web designer. And if I could design my own website if I needed to." Those 110 organizations I shared with you a while back are behind the cases that are summarily being brought before a willing Federalist Society-owned Supreme Court that seems to have its own connections to Project 2025. This thing intends to decree that Sunday, the Sabbath day, will be a mandatory day off work, even for private businesses. So you can forget about taking your family out to Sunday dinner. There won't be any place open. There's a group called Pastors and Catholics for Trump, a real coalition, and they are mobilizing clergy to spread violent Christian nationalist lies from their pulpit. Trump claims to be a president who should have absolute immunity for anything he does, including being able to arrest, imprison, and even execute his perceived enemies. On its face, it's absurd. However, the Supreme Court took that case when they didn't have to. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia had rejected Trump's claim of absolute immunity 5 months earlier. And I suspect, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do suspect that the Supreme Court waited to release their ruling on his absolute immunity for the last day of their term in June. I think July 1st is when they actually released it. So when they were ruled 6-3 to give Trump what he wanted, they quickly and quietly left for their summer break, having made Trump's delay until after the election wish come true. So cowardice. Next slide, please. Oh boy, excuse me. Under reproductive rights, the word abortion is mentioned 199 times. These people actually want to establish what they intend to call the Department of Life. This is right out of Margaret Atwood's 1985 book, The Handmaid's Tale, which is a fictional dystopian view of a woman losing their rights as citizens and serving only as vessels to procreate for rich white men. Another project core objective is to reduce the federal government's involvement in healthcare. This means the incoming president could take a battle axe to the agencies that run Medicare and Medicaid, as well as affiliated offices that research treatments for insidious diseases, and those that approve prescriptions and medical devices, and even products like cosmetics. Project 2025 limits family options by making it government policy to protect fertilized eggs from the moment of conception, threatening access abortion to birth control in all states, and making it a crime for doctors to provide abortion medication. it would ban health clinics that receive federal Title X funding from distributing condoms. Seriously? But it's in there. With the next Republican administration, you should expect a national abortion ban. You should expect women and their doctors to be criminally prosecuted for providing or receiving reproductive services. And as was done in Mississippi, they will criminalize the purposeful or accidental destruction of unfertilized frozen embryos in all states. So our states are not exempt. And as disgusting as it sounds, they want to track women who leave restricted states to obtain reproductive health care in states where it's still legal. And they want to monitor women's periods, then chase them down and bring them back to those states for prosecution if they try to seek reproductive health care in a blue state. It sounds ominously to me like slave catchers who were employed to track down and return escaped slaves to their enslavers. Yeah, sounds that way to me too. And to add insult to injury, they want to eliminate no-fault divorce so that women who are in abusive marriages will not be able to get out of those marriages unless their abusive husband agrees. Trump's weird Vice President, J.D. Vance, echoed this exact sentiment just last week. Next slide, please. Law enforcement, yes. Project 2025 will terminate any unlawful investigations into the newly elected president or his prior cabinet. If elected, Trump will pardon himself, and he promises to pardon the convicted criminals who attempted to prevent the peaceful transfer of power back on January 6th of 2021. And he even opens his rallies with the convicted, they call it the convict choir, singing the national anthem from jail. For the rest of us, Project 2025 mandates that the Justice Department will assume control over law enforcement activities when local governance is deemed insufficient by federal standards. This includes intervening in how public protests are managed and policed. With oversight moving away from local to federal, it becomes more challenging for citizens to seek redress or influence policing policies in their own communities that affect their communities. Think of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. Under this plan, those families would not have been able to sue for wrongful death. They promise military and or police crackdowns on lawful protests, along with jail time or death for protesters without due process. Something Trump really wants to do and actually did do during the Black Lives Matter protests, which is to send the military into blue cities that he deems lawless or high crime. Think of, New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, Seattle, and so on, just blue, and he doesn't even want to give disaster relief to blue cities or blue states. And he actually held back some money from the last time he was in office. So naturally, they desperately want to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion, along with affirmative action programs across the government, military, and even private businesses. By the way, DEI is mentioned 39 times, and affirmative action, equity, and inclusion 90 times. So it's pretty clear they're coming after people who look like me. Next slide, please.
Do you mean people who are beautiful like you?
Oh, aren't you sweet?
All right.
All right, thanks. LGBTQ rights. Trump's Project 2025 eliminates federal protections for citizens, including not protecting hate crimes against LGBTQ people. It calls for the Department of Justice to no longer defend the First Amendment rights of these citizens to be themselves or even eliminates terms like sexual orientation and gender identity from government records and policies. It halts all research against gender reassignment and defines transgender citizens as pornographers and groomers who should all be prosecuted, imprisoned, and removed from Christian society. And reverses policies allowing transgender people to serve in the military. And of course, they're going to reinstate the Clinton era don't ask, don't tell policy in the military. Next slide. Project 2025 proposes to undermine the federal government's ability to protect workers, consumers, communities, and even our environment from corporate wrongdoing. They will end what they see as government interference in energy decisions and stop the so-called war on oil and natural gas, making sure that private companies that threaten our climate are no longer federally regulated. Project 2025 suggests eliminating NOAA and the National Weather Service, replacing those vital organizations, with private companies. Their blueprint appears to leave the National Hurricane Center intact, thank God, saying, quote, the data it collects should be presented neutrally without adjustments that might intend to support any one side in the climate debate, end quote. Our activist Supreme Court has provided the avenue for this to happen by overturning the Chevron document. By overturning the 1984 landmark decision in Chevron versus the Natural Resources Defense Council, the Supreme Court has expanded the authority of conservative judges to rewrite rules in favor of corporations and special interest groups. Folks, enjoy that clean air and clean water while you can. This decision marks another power grab by a MAGA Supreme Court majority, aiming to increase corporate and special interest influence over Americans' lives. And don't forget, SCOTUS also ruled that bribes are okay as long as their gratuity is offered after the favor has been granted. Think of government contract awarded to, let's say, a real estate developer like Donald Trump. These American oligarchs who want to take possession of your family's property by eminent domain so that they can build another mixed-use high-rise. I can see the letter of gratitude now. Dear public official, thank you for displacing all those people so I can make more money. Here is an envelope with a nice bundle of cash to thank you for getting that job done. Hopefully we can do business again together real soon. Next slide. Oh, as you might imagine, immigrants will not do very well in the authoritarian version of America. They even want to revoke immigration benefits that have traditionally been granted to unaccompanied migrant children. And you won't be surprised that the word alien and alien children was used 37 times. These people really hate immigrants. And you won't believe their plans for the Dreamers, which includes blocking financial aid for up to 2/3 of all American college students if the state in which they live permits certain immigrant groups, including Dreamers with legal status, to access in-state tuition. And they'll terminate legal status for 500,000 Dreamers by eliminating staff time for reviewing and processing renewal applications. They will suspend updates to annual eligible countries list for H-2A and H-2B temporary worker visas, thereby excluding most populations from filling gaps in agriculture, construction, hospitality, and forestry sectors. Imagine how many professionals we'll lose, especially in the medical and scientific research sectors. The project will bar U.S. citizens from qualifying for federal housing subsidies if they live with or someone who's not a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident. And they will force states to share driver's licenses and taxpayer identification information with federal authorities or risk losing critical funding, federal funding. Florida, in fact, already requires hospitals to report any non-resident to the Florida state government anytime someone cannot prove their immigration status, but they come in for medical care. These undocumented people were not stupid. The very day that Florida edict was signed into law by Governor Ron DeSantis, the pictures on TV showed immigrants who had been working in agriculture and construction industry drop their tools, left the fruit to rot on the ground, and moved themselves and their families to friendlier states. Next slide. While the document contains dozens of controversial proposals, arguably the biggest one is to shut down the Department of Education, which is an institution that was created in 1867, not long after the end of the Civil War. The theory, according to the blueprint, is to eliminate red tape so that families will be free to choose from a diverse set of school options and learning environments. The plan would wipe out the Education Department Office of Civil Rights, a sub-agency that enforces civil rights laws and investigates schools accused of engaging in discrimination, which has handled really more than 19,000 complaints over a decade and roughly 1,000 cases in the 22-23 school year alone. But by eliminating the Department of Education, this plan proposes to send your tax dollars and mine to support these Christian schools. And while they're dumbing down what teachers can teach in public school, and they want to allow groups like Moms for Liberty to determine what your kids and your grandkids can read or learn, and of course, curb the teaching of race and equality in schools. They want to eliminate Head Start programs and cut what they call wasteful school meal programs. So they want you to have babies, but they don't want to feed them or educate them. They want to swap out Pell Grants for private loans and eliminate Biden's student loan forgiveness program permanently. And we already see what they're doing to dismantle public education. If they're burning books, threatening teachers, librarians, members of school boards, eliminating slavery from the history of the United States, or when it is discussed, they want kids to believe that slaves somehow benefited by gaining useful skills. Now, as we know from history, because we all, we grew up before this stuff started to happen. History tells us that enslaved people brought many of those skills with them from their homeland and then taught their masters. Next slide. The plan proposes slashing funding for the Department of Justice, dismantling the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Department of Homeland Security, even the National Weather Service, as I said earlier, to sharply reduce environmental and climate change regulation to favor fossil fuel production. And as I mentioned earlier, Project 2025 under Trump's second term would begin by purging those nonpartisan civil service workers like EPA scientists and IRS accountants and replacing them with unqualified Trump toadies. During his first term, he gave the Department of Agriculture researchers an ultimatum: lose your job or move yourself and your family to Kansas at your own expense. Why did he do that? Because agricultural researchers published and funded objective analysis of issues such as climate change, the efficiency of food assistance programs, and the tax cuts that mostly benefited the richest farmers. Trump just didn't receive that well, so they actually moved. Or some of them moved, some of them just quit. Our most vulnerable government victim in this Project 2025 is the Justice Department, starting, it seems, with the FBI, which is mentioned 119 times. Trump and his acolytes have been casting shade on the FBI for like 8 years, but the rhetoric has intensified. And since the arrest and conviction of the January 6th insurrectionists that Trump calls hostages, and who he promises when he gets back in office, he's going to pardon them. It's just horrific. Next slide, please. From the beginning of his career in politics, Trump has referred to the press as the enemy of the people. Therefore, media outlets who are mean to him will be targets of his second authoritarian reign of terror. Restructuring government communications to this plan means complete destruction of the independent press, which under our democracy has always been known as the fourth estate because of its independent role in keeping government in check and working within the Constitution for the good of our citizens. Project 2025 demands a centralized media strategy. The project aims to centralize and control messaging across government agencies to ensure consistency and alignment with the administration's goals. Each department will appoint a strategic communicator to ensure adherence to a centralized media strategy, each aligned with the same conservative messaging framework. Sounds kind of like Russian state-controlled media, doesn't it? They want to use the Federal Communications Commission to enforce stricter restrictions on media outlets, possibly revisiting the Fairness Doctrine or similar policies to ensure what they describe as balanced coverage. The project also calls for revisiting media ownership rules to potentially reduce consolidation and promote a wider diversity of voices more aligned with conservative viewpoints. Trump is threatening to pull the license of NBC network so that he can shut down MSNBC because they're so critical of him. He has already called the president of ABC network, demanding that he fire comedian Jimmy Kimmel because he makes jokes about him. He's such a deranged little snowflake. It's just pathetic. And let's not forget, at the very end of Trump's disastrous first term, he demanded that the head of the US government agency for global media fire the head of Radio Free Europe, whose mission it has been since World War II to provide accurate and reliable information to audiences in countries where media freedom is limited or restricted. This next one, combating misinformation, is almost comical, coming from a party that spews misinformation all day, every day on right-wing media channels. Despite the irony, their disinformation task force will be deployed to identify and counteract misinformation, particularly focused on narratives that seem harmful to conservative agendas. They want to promote the trusted news sources and emphasize supporting those that align with conservative principles, potentially through government endorsements or government partnerships with private media agencies like Fox or Sinclair Network. Under legal and legislative action, they want to change the libel laws to make it easier for public figures, including politicians, to sue media outlets for defamation. And they're proposing reforms to Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act to hold social media platforms more accountable for content moderation practices they perceive to be biased against conservative voices. And finally, they're considering the expansion of government-sponsored media outlets to disseminate official information directly to the public. In 2022, Russian President Vladimir Putin signed into law a measure criminalizing reporting that contradicts the government's version of events, including calling what's happening in Ukraine a war. Can you imagine having outlets like Fox News or Breitbart as our only trusted news sources? Ooh, it's frightening. Next slide, please. I really want you to just let this sink in for a moment. 90% of these items with quotes came from Trump himself. He loves the idea of a civil war. He wants to use the military to shoot peaceful protesters in the knees. He will abandon our NATO allies and let Putin, quote, do whatever the hell he wants with Ukraine, end quote. And when he says he'll be a dictator on day one, believe him. He will go after the press and even private citizens who dare defy him or criticize him. Like he did with his former fixer, Michael Cohen. These people will go to prison until Trump figures out how he wants to punish them even more. He calls immigrants vermin and says they're poisoning the blood of our country. He promises to use police and military to round up and put immigrants from certain countries into internment camps and ship them off to countries of his choice, whether they've ever been to that country or not. Upon taking power, authoritarians like him typically order the arrest and sometimes the execution of political opponents or perceived threats, and including military officers loyal to the former leaders, like Joseph Stalin, Saddam Hussein, Fidel Castro, and of course, Vladimir Putin, who seems to have a problem with his rivals falling out of windows. Tyrants put their potential rivals in their place, not to seize power, but to hold on to power. And I repeat, if Trump wins, he will never leave office. Next slide. Remember back in 2016 when Hillary Clinton labeled the people around Trump his basket of deplorables? Well, I tried to envision the deplorables who might fill his cabinet. Poor Elise Stefanik, she got booted out of, she wanted to be VP so bad she could taste it, but she got booted out by J.D. Vance, a younger, more polished version of Trump. Kash Patel has already said he wants to be FBI director. And can you imagine Attorney General Matt Gaetz? He should actually be in jail now. In a second term, there will not be any adults in the room to stop Trump from exercising his worst impulses. They will all be MAGA. Every one of these folks on this slide and more will ask, how high, sir, when the authoritarian leader tells him to jump. Next slide. The road to authoritarianism starts with the election of Donald Trump, followed by the systematic destruction of what they view as the administrative state, followed by the dismantling of more rights that Americans have always just taken for granted. Birth control, gone. IVF, gone. Same-sex marriage, gone. Safe water and air, gone. Social Security and Medicare, gone. Safety from gun violence, gone. This summary I shared is 920 pages of the many ways that Trump's Project 2025 threatens our future and our freedoms. An activist that I attended a few weeks ago said something that struck with me. Realistic fear and knowledge are important persuaders. So every American needs to adopt a hair on fire posture about the implications of a Trump victory, knowing that the Heritage Foundation will be ready to pull the trigger on all these well-defined elements of Project 2025 the very minute the race is called for Trump. And for the third time, they won't wait for the inauguration. It's up to us to make sure this doesn't happen in November. So everybody has got to get out and vote. Can you go to the next slide? So these are some of the additional memes, in addition to what you saw in the presentation, that describe the horror of Project 2025 and what it's going to do. We have another video to share that will show you how to access our toolkits and share our content on social media platforms. And then I'd love to answer your questions.
Yvonne, we're running a little bit long. So what I'd like to
Okay.
do is go right to questions.
Okay, sure.
Jeannie says they have a agenda beginning at 7 o'clock.
Oh, right, of course.
Where a whole
Okay.
bunch of candidates are being reviewed. So I'd like
Oh,
to
yes.
go over to questions right now.
Okay.
Way to ask a question is to raise your hand using the raise hand function.
Kathy, I see your hand raised. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
There. Can the toolkit URL just be put in the chat, please?
Yes, yes, we can do that.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely. We'll do the how-to video in the chat as well.
We'll
Here's-
send a whole bunch of resources in our follow-up email. So
Yeah,
please, yeah. Thank
that's
you
right.
for asking.
Yeah.
Dr.
good question.
McCullough, your hand is raised. You are on mute, so feel free to unmute yourself.
Yes, my question was regarding sort of recent media
Mhm.
communications that Trump distanced himself from Project 25. How can
Mhm.
that be?
He decided he realized how unpopular it was, and he started, moonwalking away from it because he knew it was hurting his campaign. But his name is in that document. He is named in that document, so he can lie all he wants to, but that's why we call it Trump's Project 2025, because he's right square in the middle of it. And as I said earlier, there were 29 of the 36 people who used those training videos, who moderated those training videos that I talked about way back earlier. They worked in his administration in some capacity. So he can't walk away from it. He can lie all he wants to, and he does.
Any other questions?
Jeannie White, you have your hand up.
I wanted to know if you have an organized group that actually goes out and makes the same presentation. In other words, how do people find out about you? And how far have you been going out into the community with your presentation?
That's a good question. Since this year alone, I've done about 20 of these. And how they find out about it is coming to an event like this and saying, can you make the presentation for my group like you did? So yeah, and in fact, I got 2 requests today that I've got to respond to.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Certainly. And thank you again for allowing us to do this, because we really need, the word needs to get out. It really, really does. And now everybody is talking about Project 2025. I get dozens of emails every day with that mentioning Project 2025.
And certainly all the information that you have shared with us this evening will be going out to everybody that is here. I'm going to ask Marilyn Singer to actually send me email addresses of those that have come from Fremont to see the event, if that would be okay, so that I can make sure that I get that to everyone. Thank you.
Sure. Good.
Excellent. Seeing no other hands, if anybody else has any other questions, feel free to raise your hand. Oh, I am seeing George Carter's hand up.
Yes.
Hi, did you give us an address where we can reach you when we have backup thoughts?
Yes, actually, one of the slides we didn't show you has all of our contact information in it. And if you point your phone at these QR codes behind Jeff and me, that will take you directly to our website. But as Jeff said, we're going to send out all this information in a follow-up email so that you all have access to all of our content.
Thank
We
you.
have an email address of freedomwriterscollaborative.org. So if you write to Freedom Writers Collaborative gmail.com. You can reach us directly.
Yes. Good question. Thank you.
Jeannie,
Do you-
you have a question?
I do. If
Mhm.
we, since we're getting a little bit close on time, we may not be able to watch the video unless it's less than 5 minutes. Is the video that you wanted to share with us going to be able to be shown, or would you like to just put the information in the chat for us to watch later?
I think we will send you a follow-up email with all the links. So we
Okay.
don't need to do
Yeah.
that now.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'll make sure to pass that along to everyone.
Terrific. Okay.
I know you have a whole host of candidates to interview tonight, so we didn't want to step it on that.
It looks like we have one more hand that's
Yeah.
raised,
Mhm.
John Smith, and then we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you both for doing this presentation, and thank you, Jeannie, for inviting us. Hopefully we can get some links to this information and spread it further in the Fremont area. And excellent job. It is frightening. I don't like the fact that you're going to keep me up tonight, but it was very informative. So thanks again.
Oh, thank you for your comment. Appreciate that.
Thank you,
Thank you
John.
so much. Thank you, Jeffrey and Yvonne, for being with us this evening. We look forward to sharing all of the information that you have with all the folks that are here. And for those that couldn't come, we have recorded the session. And I think that what we are going to do now is we're going to allow the folks that have come just for the Project 2025 presentation to sign off. And those that are going to be staying for the NSDC's general meeting, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to be back at 7:05 to start our meeting. So again, thank you so much, Yvonne, and thank you, Jeffrey, for being with us this evening, and for all the rest of you that came this evening as well. Okay,
Jeannie,
we'll be
thank you
back.
for having us.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
we
much.
appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
We'll see everyone in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
About 3 minutes before our regularly scheduled meeting is coming on board. So thank you everybody who just that just came in.
Julia, we're going to start at 7:05.
At 7:05. Okay, we have 8
Yeah.
minutes.
Okay,
Go take a bathroom break, everybody.
everybody, we have time. Okay.
Hello? Hello? Anyone?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, how do you ask a question? I tried to raise my hand.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. I
No,
do
it's
believe
okay.
they have left already.
Yeah, I know. I just want to know, since at the beginning of the presentation, she said that 90% of millennials get their news on social media.
Mhm.
So is this video gonna be put on social media?
I believe it has been, but we will definitely put that in our feedback.
Okay, and how do I raise my hand? Do I just do the tap to speak thing?
So if you hit the reactions button, there's one that says raise hand.
Where's? Okay.
Are you on your, oh, you're on your phone. You're on an iPhone, which is not what I have. So
Okay.
You know what,
So-
Julia, that's different. I couldn't raise my hand till the very end either because they've changed it and I
no.
couldn't find it. So
Okay.
it is under reactions, but that's very new to me and I'm on my phone. That's not
Okay.
where it used to be.
Well, where is reactions?
It should
Well,
be
on
the,
my iPhone, it's at the bottom. Do you see where it says participants and then chat and then a little heart that says reactions?
Is it the heart?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't get that.
That's okay.
I know, I didn't either. I was frantically searching for what the heck happened to my raised hand because it used to be under chat and it's
Okay,
not
great.
now.
Okay, I will look at that one at 7:05 if I have any questions.
And next time, if there is a next time, feel free to in a lull in conversation, feel free to just speak up and say, I actually have a question. And I promise you nobody gets mad at you.
I didn't want to interrupt anybody.
I know, I fully respect that, and I do thank you for trying not to interrupt. But
it's
sometimes it's just a little bit easier just to speak up a little bit, just because if you can't find that button, it's just hard.
So she said this is going back to Newt Gingrich. I can get that, but I have trouble thinking that a Mitt Romney or another Republican would actually implement this.
I mean, it depends on the Republican, I think.
Well, Mitt Romney wouldn't do it. He doesn't even agree with Trump, but Trump is a little out there.
Yeah, just how many Mitt Romneys are getting elected these days?
I know. That's the problem. He's not even running. Okay, I'm gonna mute myself again.
Okay.
So,
for those of you just joining us, we are delaying our start time to 7:05 just because we did have a fairly long presentation. So just to give everybody a little bit of a break prior to starting in on our meeting.
Hey, Julie, it's Jason. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, just do a mic check. I got a brand new microphone, so I want to make sure it worked all right.
It sounds lovely.
All right, thank you.
Jason, how are you feeling?
Much better today. Lots of doses of Tylenol. I refrained from taking any painkillers before this meeting, so I'm somewhat coherent for this. So
you sound good to me.
All right. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, I'm doing pretty well now. I tend to have very high pain tolerance. I tend to heal relatively quickly. So hopefully this heals up and get back to work within the next week or so.
Computer for the rest of the meeting.
Hi, Namvir.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Just had a quick question for the group real quick. Do you know what the order is going to be for this evening for the candidates?
Yes, I do.
Okay, got it.
You were thrilled with that. Well, it was so much hyperbole. I had trouble. Well, it might be. I know, that's, who knows? So when it comes time to vote for Christmas.
We've got about another minute before we're going to get started.
Jeannie, you did see the email address I included in today for the new candidate?
Robin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Okay, it is 7:05, and I'm going to call the August 12th NSDC General Meeting to order. We definitely have established a quorum, and I would like to welcome Northern Solano Democratic Club members and any guests who are with us this evening. The executive board members are as follows: Vice President Julia Routson-Thomas, co-secretaries Nancy and Steve Federley, Outreach Chair Jacob Francisco, Treasurer Don Lowry, and I am Jeannie White, and I'm currently serving as president, and we are really glad that you are with us tonight for the second part of our meeting this evening. First, we're going to start by posting the minutes of the July 8th meeting briefly, because you should have already gotten it last week. And then Vice President Routson-Thomas will execute the poll.
I apologize. I was doing something off screen. So share minutes. Okay. Just briefly. And now I'm going to stop the share. And I am going to do the poll. Okay. We don't have too much participation, but we also have some extra people today. So I am going to end the poll in a couple seconds. If you are a member and you want to vote, please vote now. I am ending the poll now. The minutes have been approved. Okay.
Thank you. We're going to move right along to approving the agenda for tonight's meeting. You should have received that last week as well. So Vice President Routson-Thomas is going to display it briefly before executing the poll.
Okay. Here are the agenda. Going to give this just 1 second and stopping share and launching poll. Okay. And got most everybody that voted last time already voting. So I'm just going to give it a couple more seconds. So if you are a member and would like to vote, please vote now. I will be ending the poll now. It is unanimous.
Thank you, everyone, for voting. We are now going to briefly display the treasurer's report and have our treasurer, Don Lowry, speak briefly about the treasurer's report.
All right, our income for the month of July were dues and contributions totaling $285. Our expenses were the payment for the park rental for our meet and greet of $187 and ACLU fees for total expenses of $197.31, leaving us with an ending balance as of July 31st of $28,504.96. We have 107 paid members as of yesterday, and we are currently receiving $230 in monthly donations. So thank you to our recurring donors.
Thank you, Don. And what wonderful news that we are up to 107 members. This is wonderful news. Every month we come back and have more folks that are deciding to join us. That's wonderful news. So thank you for helping us move quickly through the business portion of our meeting, because the majority of our meeting tonight is going to be given over to doing the interviews of many of the candidates that are running for office here in Northern Solano County during this upcoming election cycle. You should have all received the questionnaires prior to the meeting. And at this time, we're going to be asking that you are muted and that you refrain from making comments or asking questions to the group at large via chat during the presentations, because it will be distracting to the candidates who are going to be asked questions and making presentations. So here's how the program is going to go. Each candidate will be identified, and that candidate will be asked to give a no longer than 2 minutes introductory statement. And then Vice President Routzen Thomas will take club members from the questions from the chat or from the questionnaire, and they will answer 3 questions. And then we will move on to the next candidate. And we are going to start. I am going to call out your name, and if you are here, I hope I will see you quickly. If not, I will put a check next to your name and we'll go on to the next person. The first person I have to call on as a candidate is Mike Silva.
I just talked to him. He couldn't find his email, so I'm assuming he has not quite gotten into the Zoom yet.
Okay, I'll put a check next to his name and we'll move on to Manveer Sandhu. Welcome, Manveer.
Hi, how's it going?
Very well, thank you. We'd like to have you start by giving a less than 2-minute introductory statement about yourself, and then we will be asking you a few questions.
Absolutely. I was just getting my computer set up, but I can start on my phone actually, if that's okay.
And Julia, will you be doing the timing on the statements?
Yes. Give me
Thank
1
you.
second. 2 minutes. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, I'm ready. Go when you're ready.
Sounds good. Good evening, everybody. My name is Manveer, and I'm running for Fairfield City Council, District 6. For the past 4 years, I've had the pleasure of serving on the Travis Unified School District Governing Board, which is also the school district I went to school at. I've lived in this district, not only school district, but this part of Fairfield that I live in. For now, over the past 20 years, I basically learned how to ride my bike here, went to kindergarten in this area, been here my entire life, and went through the Travis Unified School District. So I know this area very, very well. And part of the reasons of why I'm running for this seat is because of some of the issues that we face on the school district are really outside of the school district's hands. And the best place to solve those challenges are going to be at the city level. Just talking about my background real quick. So as I mentioned, I went to Vanden High School. I went to Napa Valley College for my associate's degree. Got involved in student government there, student advocacy there. One of my professors was Anna Patero, who was really a good mentor to me growing up. And then I kind of gone down my path of the political journey. I transferred to UC Davis back in 2020, got my degree in economics there, joined the Air Force Reserve. Around 2019, I've been in the Air Force Reserve now for about almost the past 6 years working in intelligence. And then along the way, after university, worked at a boutique investment bank focused on M&A for real estate and home building. And from there, I made my way working at a startup on my full-time job side. Worked at a startup, and I now work at a venture capital firm in my civilian job. So my 3 hats overall that I wear, I have my service to the school district, my Air Force, and then my day job. And I'm really looking to bring those 3 skill sets together and serve that on city council. And kind of the main drivers for me for running are 1, completing projects like Markley Lane, expanding Peabody, putting lights on Peabody, and then also helping diversify a local economy while protecting Travis Air Force Base. Those are kind of the main drivers for my campaign, and happy to chat more about some of the other ones as well. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And so we do have a few questions for you. So sorry, give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so you said one of your top 3 priorities is job creation and community development. So
yes,
what will you do to get this done in your first term?
Sure. So one thing I want to highlight here I want to kind of set the ground of where we are right now. For the past 10 to 15 years, especially in Fairfield, but this is also a challenge for our whole county as well, especially the district I live in. they have built a lot of logistic centers. I understand why. I think they maybe couldn't find a better use for that land. But when it comes to job creation and who works at these places, you're not talking about employing that many people. And the folks you are employing, a lot of them could be driving in to pick up a load, then driving back out. You're not really leveraging the workforce that you have. And one of the things that makes Solano County, Fairfield, Vacaville, our region really special is our workforce. We have a very talented workforce, not only given due to our K through 12 school systems in this area, really strong pipeline at the community college level as well. And then just being geographically located in between UC Berkeley and UC Davis, we have a very skilled talent pool. One of the things we have not done, I think, very well is bringing essentially more jobs in that sector to this region. Like I mentioned, I grew up here. A lot of my friends grew up here. A lot of them don't live here anymore, just because many of them went to university, went to college, and there weren't that many jobs for them in this region. And I'm a product of that. I have to drive very far to get to work. And I think that's really, really unfortunate. And it's not just me that faces that. We're known as a bedroom community. Now, some of the things I want to go after to try to help change that is double down on some of the industries that we could leverage and really develop here locally. One is our ag tech sector, working in partnership with our agricultural community and bringing in jobs that will essentially service that market. The other one, obviously, is biotech, where we are all very well aware of that. But the other one that we haven't done a great job at, but I think we could do more for, is really going after the defense innovation market. Given Travis Air Force Base's impact not only on our community already, and the impact and the impact Travis Air Force Base has on the larger region, that's an industry I think we're ripe for, because we have the operators for that industry right here at home. And I don't think we've done a good job at developing that ecosystem. So bringing those industries and doubling down on those are something that I want to prioritize in my first term.
Awesome. Okay, next we have, where do you think the city needs to add housing, and how would you facilitate that?
And just to clarify the question, when you say where, is that much more of a geographic question or like a type of housing question?
Both.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So I can speak to, in my district alone, there is an empty plot of land on Peabody and Whitney. It's about a 1.5 acre lot. That's zoned commercial. But for the past 7 years, no commercial development has occurred there. We could consider rezoning that to residential mixed use and putting in a mixed use development project there. It's been empty for 7 years. It's a 1.5 acre lot. There's a lot behind the train station that I recall was also empty. I know that I remember a firm was looking at developing it, but I don't think it's broken ground just yet. So in District 6 alone, there is some room. On the other side of Noonan, I think it's private property right now, but there's a huge lot there that could be leveraged for housing as well. So those are some places that I would say we could potentially consider putting some housing projects.
Okay, and then what in your life experience as a venture capitalist gives you the ability to represent working class residents?
So that's a very recent part of my background. If I could maybe share with you what I've spent many more years doing. In 2018, I served on the student government for Napa Valley College. I was their external affairs officer. My second year at community college, I was on the student trustee. I was the student trustee for the Napa Valley College Board of Trustees. Around that time, I became a civic impact scholar with the Foundation of California Community Colleges. After graduating from community college, I got really involved in the nonprofit space. I had the pleasure of serving for about 2 years, where I met some awesome people, some of them who I think are members of our group, on the Solano County Library Foundation Board, working with them, pushing programs like Reach Out and Read, and ensuring a higher literacy for our county. And then working with the NAACP on their Veteran Affairs Committee as well. And then really doubling down on the education front, because I had spent a lot of time in that world, was working with the PTA, the 18th District PTA Board of this region as their Legislative Affairs Director, advocating at the state capitol. And just going back a little bit on the student and education piece, I had a chance of working as the Legislative Affairs Director for the Student Senate for California Community Colleges for 1 year, representing and advocating for the community college students of our region, of which in the whole state of California, there are about 2.3 million. I was helping advocate for essentially the Northern California part. So I've spent over 5-6 years now in the public advocacy space, the nonprofit space, the community organized space. And I think that experience is what I am using and leveraging and really building upon to service my community in Fairfield.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Matt
thank
Beer.
you. Thanks,
We'll
guys.
next hear from Mike Silva.
Hi, everyone.
I'm gonna spotlight you. And then I'm gonna restart this timer. And so let me know when you're ready and we'll get started.
All right.
So Mike, we're going to
Yeah.
ask you to do a less than 2-minute introductory statement, and then we will ask you several questions.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming on and your continued commitment to ensuring that democracy lives strong and well, not just in our city and our county, but throughout the United States. My name is Michael Silva. I am a full-time professor at Solano Community College. I focus on workforce development in the area of biotechnology. I also teach courses to help out students who have aspirations to enter the healthcare field. I grew up here in Vacaville. I grew up in the Markham neighborhood, which for those who don't know is the predominantly low-income deed restricted area. Growing up, I was often the target of stop and search policies that, no longer are constitutional. And having those unique experiences growing up, with the loss of my father, the struggles that my mom endured, and a lot of folks around me, it was tough. It was tough in the sense that I got to the point in my life where I didn't want. I knew what the alternatives were, but my goal in my life was to make sure I paid forward the opportunities and sacrifices our ancestors made before me to live my life to the fullest. And part of that is ensuring that I am in positions to help provide opportunities for others. I never thought I'd be an elected role. It wasn't really my ambition. When I moved back, I just wanted to help out my community. And that's really expanded to how do we, I recognize that those issues that exist here in low-income areas really exist throughout our entire city and county, right? And so it's a natural fit for me to be an educator. Now that I'm a city council member, these past 4 years, we've made some great strides, making sure we have scholarships for families who can't afford those enrichment programs over the summer, to sidewalk repair programs, and make sure those folks who have wheelchairs have, safe, accessible pathways to get their kids to school. There was a kid on one side of a school that, of the other side of the street of the school, other side of the street that I didn't know lived there. And once we put in that sidewalk, he was able to get to, first time in his life, he was able to access his school from his side of the street.
Thank
in
you.
his wheelchair.
Thank you,
I
Mike.
want to make sure we continue that as we go forward.
Awesome. So we do have a couple questions. Let me just see what we have in here. Okay. So in your questionnaire, you said your number one priority is to champion the completion of the Trower Park remodel and the Brown Street project. How will you get this done in this next term?
Nothing's done alone. I'm really grateful to serve with a very robust and diverse city council. So big shout out to those folks who continue to support that. One of the biggest challenges we have, not just with that, but is represented in other areas too, is our policies are a deterrent for progress. And I think it's really incumbent. So how do we do that? We make sure that, frankly, we encourage, highly encourage our city manager to use his leadership to make sure this stuff gets done. Char Park's we've approved money for that for 3 years ago, and it just went out to bid. It'll come back on our agenda tomorrow to reject the bids because they came back too high. I'm tired of making promises to people and not fulfilling them. We've had the money to do it. We just got to get it done like we do in other areas. All that's in jeopardy. I feel that if I don't continue to serve on city council. But again, it really comes down to us as a collective body on council to support that. So it's important that that we continue to have that support on there. Brown Street's the same process. We've allocated the money. We need to go out for bid and help encourage whatever we can to remove barriers to make it happen.
Awesome. So then next question, where do you think the city needs housing, both locationally and types, and how would you facilitate it?
So right now, we've done a lot of work these past 4 years on looking at our zoning, our housing. For those who don't, I don't know how far to get into this. It's a huge topic, but basically, in order to put out subsidized housing, that subsidy, that to make up that difference in cost for the subsidy has to come from somewhere. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. It hasn't happened. So either that's coming from our funds within the city, or it's coming from state funds, or rarely federal funds. And we've our current council, we've approved 3 affordable housing developments, the first 3 in the past 20 years. So we've demonstrated that we're committed to making sure that there's accessible housing. But the challenge is, how do we now, rather than continue to build market rate apartments that are, people are paying over $3,000 a month, our seniors can't pay that. People are working, with your basic minimum wage jobs, even though it's $20 an hour, they still can't afford that. So it's still important that we continue to expand, but expand in the right way. We've also implemented different tools to help inspire more infill development. And that's really key, so that way we limit our how we encroach upon our growth boundaries. One area that we're looking into now is expanding eastbound. So typically that land isn't been identified to be very agricultural friendly, so to speak. So it makes more sense if we're going to grow, if we grow there versus some other parts of our city that can that can produce food. So why would we take that over? So I think the focus is really, how do we support and incentivize and provide tools to support more infill development, and that has a huge positive effect on making sure that people can walk more, right? So they can get out and engage more within their community. So that means it reduces greenhouse gases from more traffic, makes less problematic issues with transportation. And in addition, it also helps support our small businesses that will be in walking distance. So.
Thank you, Mike, for
thank you.
for your answers to your questions. You have obviously thought a great deal about these topics, and so thank you so much.
Probably too much
for your answers. No, that's fine. You did great. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
We're now going to hear from Pam Bertani.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Let me just spotlight you really quickly. And when you are ready, go ahead and let me know and I'll start the timer.
I'm ready.
Started.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for taking the time to have these interviews. I appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening. I'm sure the other candidates do as well. By way of background, I'm Pam Bertani. I currently serve as the Vice Mayor of the City of Fairfield. This is my 3rd term working on the Fairfield City Council. I currently represent District 6, which is the district that Manveer is running for. Due to redistricting, I am now residing in District 4, and so I'm running for the District 4 seat, which is currently represented by Councilmember Rick Vaccaro, who recently announced his retirement from the City Council. Thank you, Rick, for all your great work. Rick has endorsed my campaign for District 4, and I'm running for re-election because now more than ever, leadership really matters. And I mean that from the top of the ticket all the way down to our local elections here in Fairfield and Solano County. Experienced, proven leadership should be at the helm for the coming years, and I'm the only candidate in this race for District 4 that has a proven track record of effective leadership, of consistent community engagement, and most importantly, of getting the work done and producing results on the jobs and the issues that matter in the city of Fairfield. I am a California attorney, and I'm a gubernatorial appointee to the California Commission on Uniform State Laws. And that organization drafts and implements uniform state laws, which supplant the need for federal legislation. It's a more robust process for legislative lawmaking, and it has provided me a platform to
thank you
for our residents.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, starting with questions. What services do you think that are lacking in Fairfield, and what would you plan to do to address that?
Well, I'll start with homelessness. I mean, that is the pivotal issue facing the city of Fairfield. We have made a dent in the services for our residents or our unhoused residents, but we have a long way to go. As you know, the Supreme Court recently issued the Grants Pass decision on homelessness, which overrules the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in the Boise case. That case in 2018 said that cities must provide shelter before enforcing a anti-camping ordinance. Now with Grants Pass, that's overruled. So in effect, cities like Fairfield can now enforce anti-camping statutes. But it's going to be important to implement this Supreme Court ruling with care and very carefully so that we don't use Grants Pass as a weapon to criminalize homelessness, but an incentive to encourage folks who are homeless to get off the streets into shelter and to get the services that they need. So we currently have a pretty robust shelter system. And I'm saying that I think that even with the system and the resources that we have to provide shelter, we can and should and will do even more to make sure that Grants Pass is enforced properly, because that decision was not unanimous by the Supreme Court. It was a 6-3 split decision, and the dissenting opinion outlines a veritable roadmap for challenging the Grants Pass decision to get around the majority holding on grounds such as due process and the Eighth Amendment excessive fines clause. So in a nutshell, I think that we need to, I'm proud of the work that we've done for our shelter services, and I believe that we can and will do more.
Okay. Many residents would argue that Fairfield has been in decline in the last decade. What would you do differently to change that perception?
Well, to be honest with you, and I've said this before to my colleagues and the city manager, I would highlight some of the successes that we have had here in the city of Fairfield to combat that projection or that mindset. I mean, we have the Heart of Fairfield plan, which I think is a robust plan that involves robust community engagement and a great plan for revitalizing downtown. That plan provides, in addition to revitalization or including revitalization, additional housing, over 150 additional housing units, downtown Fairfield. We need downtown to work better. Downtown now represents about 1% of the general fund budget. And I think that we've made progress with the Heart of Fairfield plan, and people need to know that, to understand that the city council is working day in and day out to revitalize our downtown. And I also think that we need to, in addition to kind of branding ourselves with our successes, we need to continue our robust community engagement to get input from the residents, which is why we had a successful series of listening tours in 2023, where we went around to all of the districts in the city of Fairfield, and we listened to folks and we received input and incorporated that input into the city's planning and decision-making.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bertani. We're now going to be hearing from Alonso Duarte.
Hello.
Hi there. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you.
When you are ready, we will be asking you to make a 2-minute or less than 2-minute introductory statement, and then we have a few questions that we will ask you.
Sure.
You ready, Julia?
Ready.
Okay. Ready.
Okay. My name is Alonso Duarte. I am running for the school board and for the trustee area 1 in Fairfield Suisun Unified School District. I am Mexican immigrant. My background is retail and education. For the last 9 years, I've been working on Child Start, which operates the Head Start program, that's early childhood education, operates 25 centers in Napa, Solano. And I've also been working as a professor at Solano College. So I have both spectrums of education, straddling grade school, or grades K through 12. I have education in leadership, human resources. So I have an MBA in accounting. I have a PhD in HR and management. And I think that positions me in a very, with special skills that I think I bring to the board that will help out.
Okay.
And
Thank you very much. So question number 1, what services do you think are lacking for the students in your district, and how will you address that?
well, I think special education is probably the biggest issue, is being able to treat everybody equitably and fairly. And right now, because we don't have, or I don't see addressing special education or addressing the cultural gap and diversity that exists within the schools, we need to bring some sort of committee to help us make determinations as of how to provide special ed to the schools in the right way.
Okay. And then so your top priorities are fostering equity and inclusion. What would you be doing to get this done in your first term?
Well, what I would like to do is actually meet with the community and get their input. I want to approach it from a collaborative standpoint and be able to work with the families, work with the community to be able to see how we can help them, rather than me being the one inducting or the board directing us of how we're going to do it. We need to hear from the people what they want and how we can approach it.
Okay. And then would you be inclined to approve a charter school within the school district?
Well, it depends, right? I would want to see what is it that they're trying to bring and offer. I know charter schools have certain specialties that they bring. Like, for example, I know PSA is not per se a charter school, but it sort of functions that way because it brings specialty on the service side. I think a charter school within the district would probably help depending on what is it that they want to do. So I can't quite say just yes without knowing what they're offering or what they're presenting.
Okay, that's all the questions that I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
We are now going to hear from Jason Roberts.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello there. Okay, let me get my timer back up. Let me know when you're ready and we'll press start.
Yeah, good to go.
Go ahead.
Hey, everybody, my name is Jason Roberts. I'm running for re-election for Vacaville City Council, District 5. It's at westernmost side of Vacaville on Alamo and Merchant and North Orchard. My background is in September, I'll be 18 years of military service in the Army. I have 2 tours to Afghanistan back when I was enlisted. And currently I'm serving as intelligence officer in California National Guard. My full-time job is I'm a public health emergency manager for Yolo County. And I've been doing that for roughly a year and a half now. And before that, I was working at the state at Cal OES as National Guard liaison to services being provided throughout the state for national disasters, declarations of emergency, and anywhere that the National Guard is needed. I'm currently seeking re-election because I've done a lot of good stuff, and unfortunately, the speed of government, a lot of stuff takes a very long time to do. I'd really like to see a second term to carry forward and complete some of the projects we've been working on the last 4 years and see them through fruition. One of the ones that we currently passed that I was a big advocate for was going to net zero energy. And that was passed just about a month and a half ago. And yeah, it's looking like it would be a great project, save the city about $26 million over the 20 years it'll be going. And I'd like to see that expanded more as we're starting to touch on a little bit of deficit spending to offset some of the costs that we have for the city. I'm also trying to push for inclusionary housing. Heard a lot of questions about housing here today, and I think that's one of the biggest ways to make sure appropriate housing gets done. It's not concentrated into one area. As far as that goes, those are a couple of my big topics and a brief introduction to myself.
Thank you so much. So let me go ahead and get my questions. What services do you think are lacking in Vacaville, and what would you plan to do to address it?
What services are lacking? Vacaville has been pretty good, but there is a need for just general, I mean, making the existing services better. I've been a big advocate for process improvement and process evaluation, like Lean Six Sigma or something, because government is not the most efficient thing in the world. And there's a lot of things we could do to make it better, to make more timely responses, to better serve the community. But one area in particular that could use a lot of work and a lot of help with is Parks and Recreation. We need to improve the quality of life for citizens in Vacaville, and being outside is a big one. I spend a lot of time in parks, a lot of time. I mean, Vacaville, we have Lagoon Valley, so a lot of places to go hike and enjoy the outdoors. And just promoting those, building them up, make sure the community knows about them. And there's programs for people all income levels to go enjoy the outdoors.
Excellent. So communication with constituents is always a big thing. What is your method of communicating with your constituents?
The biggest thing with communication is meet the people where they're at. So yeah, you can get on social media, send things out, but if you're not out in the community talking to people at whether it's just an event that a restaurant's holding downtown, a Parks and Rec event. We just had a opening of a labyrinth at the Play for All Park. Big thing is getting out and talking to people where they are and seeing what they need. Walking neighborhoods, reaching out to people, and just having an open door policy. And like our phone numbers and email addresses are on the city website, and doing our best to try to get back to people when we can. I know I'm not the most timely with the emails because 3 different phones is difficult sometimes to juggle things, but if they call me, I'll definitely give them a call back or shoot me a text message. I will definitely get back to you via text. But yeah, just trying to get involved with the community leaders also is another big one that I almost forgot about. The people that know the people in the community, like there's a faith-based leaders, there's people that run nonprofits, community organizations, as they can be a point of contact to their constituents and their demographics. So if I can't get to everybody, you can try to talk to those people, which can represent a portion of the community.
Are you concerned with how much Father's House is trying to insert itself into government business?
Yeah, definitely. They're walking a very fine legal line with their nonprofit status for their church. Yeah, because churches are generally supposed to stay out of politics. I know they're doing it the perfect way by getting candidates to run, but I'd be very curious on how they're doing those communications and not violating their IRS status. And there's a lot of them in Vacaville, which we'll get out and walk for people.
Yeah. And use their church supplies to do so. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jason. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
We're now going to hear from Helen Tilley.
Hi.
Hello there. Let me spotlight you really quickly. And we'll reset the timer. And let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready. And thank you to everyone for hosting, number one, amazing presentation beforehand that I just got the tail end of, but also your time in reviewing these very important races and the candidates that are seeking to fill the spots. I'm Helen Tilley. I'm currently the trustee for Area 2 of the Fairfield-Sassoon Unified School District. I also serve as the clerk to the board, and I serve on the joint City of Fairfield and School District Committee, as well as the City of Sassoon Fairfield Committee, as well as the governance subcommittee for the district. When I'm not doing board service, I'm an attorney mediator. I've been an attorney in good standing in California for 37 years. My practice is limited to resolving conflicts outside of court in a confidential manner to allow people to go on with their lives. And I've been doing nothing but that since, since 2001, although I came back. This is my second term as a trustee. My first term was in 2007 to 2011, that wonderful time of the Depression/Great Recession. After that, I decided to go back to work for 10 years and only came back to the board in 2020 when I ran for and was elected to the seat on the basis of wanting to safely reopen schools, as well as to obtain vaccine priority for our teachers and our valued staff in order to make that happen, mostly to address the pretty serious learning loss that occurred across the board for our students from K through 12. Now they're pre-K through 12. So it's exciting things going on in the district. I am the parent of a child who attended Fairfield-Sassoon schools. I was active in PTA and other activities during his time. He's now turning 23, so it's been a beat. But I do know from the ground up what it's like to work with the district, if you will, as well as the board. I'm also a law professor. I teach community property and family law at National University. I'm an adjunct professor. Okay, thank you. And I love the school board, and I'd like to keep my seat.
Thank you so much. Let me get the beeping going off. Okay, and so for our first question, what deficiencies do you think there are in special education in Fairfield-Sassoon Unified, and how will you address it?
Oh, well, first and foremost, staffing. Okay. We have come out of the pandemic grossly understaffed. There were issues in terms of disparate compensation for our special educators, both classified and certificated, that I think were just solved in the last contract that we approved in May. So that's going to help in terms of consistency and positions having the right resources in the right place at the right time. That said, special education, it eats up a lot of the district budget, and federal funds don't cover that cost. That just isn't to say that our students that are the most needy don't deserve to have every resource in the book made available to them. However, I do believe that I support the work at H. Glenn Richardson, which has been addressing the most needy of our students. I think that I very much like the current administrator in the position, who's Stavros. I've forgotten his last name. It's a Greek name, very long. But we have a lot of work to do there. There's no question about it. But solutions have been coming, and I'm really pleased to see how that plays out in terms of both family and student experience, as well as staff morale, because it was unfair for them not to be compensated at the same rate as their colleagues and not to receive additional compensation. That problem's been solved, so we'll see if that translates into better outcomes.
Okay, and then back to questions. What services do you think are lacking for the students in your district, and how will you address that?
Well, I think that we need to keep working on credit recovery for our high school students. And that's one of the goals of the board, is to really put some muscle into San Nieto to help them get across that line. I think that they need, I think we're doing a great job in terms of providing before and after school opportunities through through many programs actually in the district. I think that we really need to buckle down on our vocational. It's not vocational; it's career and educational training, but it's basically voc ed, and we're throwing resources at that, both from a shop perspective in terms of improvements to campuses, both at the high schools, the comprehensive high schools, as well as building partnerships. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. The question was, I'm in trustee area 2 for the Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District. Sorry to interrupt that answer. I may have forgotten something. I hope that that does respond to the question.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here, Helen.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you all for hosting.
We're next going to hear from Caio Sebio.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, let me spotlight you really quickly. Reset my timer and let me know when you're ready.
Okay, ready. All right. Good evening, fellow Northern Solano Dems. As you may know, my name is Caio Sebio, and I'm running for Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District Governing Board Trustee Area 7. It was not only a pleasure speaking with so many of you yesterday at the meet and greet as a candidate, but also throughout this year as a member of the club. Beyond attending our general meetings and seeing many of you out in the community in my role as district representative for Assemblymember Wilson, I had such a blast during our trivia night early this year and was happy to see NSDC out in force at both the Sassoon City Pride event and the Vacaville Pride event. It is with joy that I seek your endorsement. NSDC directly supports our community's common democratic values and is the backbone of democracy in our region. Our club's efforts are crucial in getting those who support democratic values into office. I'm sincerely thankful for all that we've done as a club and humbly ask for your support in joining my efforts to ensure that every student receives a quality education that prepares them for a successful future, as my community once did for me as a graduate of FSUSD schools. I ask that you join our team in my endeavors as the solely endorsed candidate by FSUDA, our local teachers union. I'm the candidate who commits his democratic values and efforts to public service in my day job as your Assembly District representative, utilizing my experiences working at the intersection of public policy and community service on the governing board. I pledge to work hard to foster a community where our students, parents, and educators are safe, successful, held accountable, and welcome to be and become themselves. I have the energy and experience to make a difference on the school governing board, and I humbly ask for our club to support me in ensuring student and educator success, creating a safe learning environment, and fostering community engagement, all of which I have repeatedly heard from our district stakeholders and in our community while on the campaign trail. I have the support of the California Bay Area Young Dems to be endorsed and would be honored to have the endorsement of my fellow club. Thank you.
Excellent timing. So for the first question, I'm actually going to go to your questionnaire. And one of the things that you talk about is prioritizing staff and teacher retention and recruitment. How exactly would you increase this during your first term?
Well, thanks for the question. For me, and from talking with our teachers union and other stakeholders, I think it's important to make sure that the people, our teachers especially, who are serving there as frontline staffers to be recognized in their leadership capacity role, and having that conversation including them in the space that's necessary to have those conversations where we can come up with common goals between both the teachers as a union and as the governing board. I think including them on leadership positions and just having a common vision where we can both collaborate and not take away from that collaboration is super important. I think that in hearing their demands and making sure that they are met with an equitable contract, I know they just reached an equitable contract recently, but making sure that the goals that were achieved in that continue to be, as well as making sure that in conversations that I've had with them, that their benefits are made through health and through retirement as well. I think that in the Bay Area, it's such an expensive place to live, and making sure that our teachers are able to afford to live here is so important. The average rent here in Fairfield is $2,100 a month. And so making sure that our teachers are able to be compensated fairly and equitably in that role is important.
Okay, what services do you think are lacking for the students in Fairfield Sassoon Unified, and how would you address that?
Well, one of the services that was mentioned earlier that I really wanted to focus about was special education. I actually have a story with regards to that. So as you may know, in my day job as district representative for Assemblymember Lori Wilson, one of my primary duties is case management. And I had and have had a couple of folks in the district, parents who have their kids in the district, reach out to our office in its state capacity, trying to seek help in FSUSD in order to have their kids get their IEP, and for the school district to recognize that their kids are on the spectrum. And so I think that for it to be escalated to my level as a case manager in a state office, for me, was concerning. After having a conversation with Stavros, I've made sure to get those who needed services through an IEP obtained. In particular, had a couple conversations to make sure that they had the meeting in order for their IEP to be certified. So I think that special education, most definitely, it needs to be a priority here in our district. And I do think that it takes a case manager's touch to be able to solve something to that effect.
Okay. And in that regard, what in your background gives you the preparation to be an effective and independent board member? And if you can keep it a little brief.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. I'll do my best to keep it brief. I think that for me, as someone who works at the intersection of policy and case management, it gives me a unique insight into how government can be effective at all levels. So in case management, helping folks get the resources that they need, I can be an effective advocate for them. One-on-one, of course, I know that the board acts with other board members, but hearing that insight from our community members, knowing what the problems are, and having a case manager's perspective in solving particular issues on the board is super important. And on the other side of things, as someone who has an expertise in policy, working in government, working in state government for the last 4 years, I know budgets and I know what steps it does take to have policy successfully implemented. I believe that having those perfect combination, if you will, of policy knowledge and casework knowledge will allow for me to have a unique and different perspective on the board that others may not have. And I hope to add to that conversation. And lastly, I believe that your board members are only as good as the perspectives that they hear. So I encourage for all people here in the club and out there at the community, please reach out to me while I'm on the trail and when I'm on the board. I would love to hear all perspectives and seeing how I can be an effective advocate for our community.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kai.
Thank you.
We are now going to hear from Regina Espinosa.
I see Regina Espinosa. I do not see her. Let me see if I see her in the. I don't see her. Oh, you're here. There we go. Okay.
I knew I had seen her. I saw you come in there, Regina.
There we go. Okay, let me go ahead and whenever you're ready, I'll start the timer.
Okay, ready. So good evening, everyone, President White, members of NSDC. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I am currently running for the Dixon Unified School District board member position. A little bit about me. I am from Dixon. Dixon is my hometown. I graduated from the Dixon school system. And after graduation, I went on and pursued 2 bachelor degrees in science, and they were in engineering management and computer engineering from University of Pacific. And then I went on to receive my master's in planning and development studies from University of Southern California. I currently work as a district manager for special districts in the Delta region of California. And I've been working in utilities and public works fields for over 20 years. I currently reside, obviously, in Dixon, and my husband and I are raising our 2 school-aged boys there. I have a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old, so we are deeply in the depths of Dixon schools and very familiar with those. Since moving back really to Dixon over 20 years ago, I became very involved in the Dixon children's lives in different pointed ways. So I served on the City of Dixon Parks and Recs Commission for about 6 years. And I've been on the boards of different youth organizations. I'm currently on the Boy Scouts or Scouting of America Council for our youth in Dixon. I served as a governing board member for Dixon Montessori Charter School for about 5 years. That helped me really prepare for different opportunities and intimately learning about policy and advocacy within the education system. And I was currently appointed to the Dixon Unified School District Governing Board last year to finish a term of a previous board member. So I'm hoping to be elected.
Thank you so much. So let's go ahead and go with some questions. So Dixon's Unified has had some pretty major changes. You have new superintendent, you have some new administration. What is your biggest goal for this next term?
Thank you for asking that question. I am very proud of those changes that have happened in the last year. I think this was one of the main reasons why I got involved and actually wanted to be and applied to be appointed to that Dixon Unified seat. There's so much potential and so many opportunities, I think, in Dixon right now. I am really looking forward to looking in depth at curriculum. I am really looking forward to getting input from our new administration in terms of how we handle, closing our achievement gaps that we know of. I'm really looking forward to having fresh eyes on new financial audits to see where the district is in terms of its financial health. So I'm really excited about that change. There's so many opportunities and so much potential there.
Excellent. And then where do you think the deficiencies in special education within Dixon Unified are, and how will you be addressing that?
Sure. It's a real issue. And I think from what you've heard tonight, obviously, it's a real issue everywhere, right? And so right now, with regards to special education, I think we are having a really hard time being able to afford all of those ways to support special education in our district, whether that's to be able to staff, afford to staff, afford to transport. So for us in the last year, that's been huge. Just the actual costs related to special education and not being able to be, fully reimbursed, I think, for those. That's a real detriment for us right now. The ways that we're looking at it and the ways I'd like to continue looking at that issue, again, are just looking for different ways of funding, I think, special education, transportation for us, as well as looking at different ways to attract and keep staff there in our special education realm.
Excellent. And then what services do you think are lacking for the students in your district, and how will you address that?
Sure. One major one is actually incorporating different CTE curriculum. So right now that is, it's a huge, I think, issue that Dixon's having, is to make sure that our kids are really career and college ready, and affording them different pathways to be that. I think that we are lacking in different CTE opportunities. We don't have those pathways fully functional yet. And I think that's one of the things that I will really be focusing on, is really making sure that our students, all of our students, are prepared in whatever way. And I think CTE is one way to do that.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you for being with us, Regina.
Thank you for having me.
We're now going to hear from Anna Patero.
Anna.
Hello, I'm ready. Are you?
I'm ready.
Okie dokie.
Start it up.
Right. The late, great Delane Easton said that budget is a value statement. I've been on the Fairfield to Seward Unified School District Governing Board representing Area 6, which is Cordelia area. And I'm here to ask you for your support in running for a second term. My name is Anna Patero. I've lived in Fairfield for the last 21 years. I've taught at Solano Community College since 2001. I teach communication studies, specifically public speaking. I also teach at Napa Valley College. I teach argumentation and debate. In my first term as a board member representing Area 6, I managed to secure $2 million for our CTE programs, career technical education programs at both Fairfield and Armio. Second, I was able to get early college breakfast for our early college students who attend Solano Community College. At first, the district didn't want to do that because it cost money. I made sure that they realize that students who go to early college are not necessarily rich and also deserve free breakfast. And so we got that for them. The third thing I did on the school board is that I was able to work with the Solano College Sports Network program, sports broadcasting program, specifically the Solano College Sports Network, to introduce and broadcast our games at Rodriguez that are now broadcast on our local cable access channel. That's bridging our CTE programs, bringing a pathway for students who are at a Fairfield student to come and study CTE programs at Fairfield at Solano Community College. The fourth thing I did while I was on the board is I actively recruited paraprofessionals because we have a shortage of teachers and paraprofessionals at Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District. So I've actually actively done that. In addition to that, next time I'd like to redirect resources to our students for the next term, and that's why I'm running again. I'm asking you for your vote for another term on the Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District Governing Board.
Amazing timing. So since you've already kind of reached into it, what do you think the deficiencies are currently in special education within Fairfield Sassoon, and how will you be addressing that?
I think the biggest deficiency with regard to special education at Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District is that we're not listening to our special education teachers. They are the expert in our classrooms. They work with our students day in and day out, year in and year out. Unfortunately, in the district, in my 3 years of experience, many of the programs have been top down. So they're directing our teachers as to what they should be doing, as opposed to listening to our teachers and what they should be doing and how we should manage our students. So I think the biggest deficiency is teacher morale because we're not listening to our special education teachers.
Excellent. And then what services do you think are lacking for the students in Fairfield Sassoon, and how will you address that?
The main services that we're lacking in Fairfield Sassoon are resources for our Title I programs, right? And many of those resources include art, music, theater, sports. Those programs and those services really bring students an incentive to come to school. We have more than any school district in our county, more intervention programs than any other county, than any other district. We're wasting so many resources. You know what theater is? Theater is math. Theater is art. Music is math. Music is art. Sports brings out collaboration and teaching. We should bring those programs back. And that's what's lacking in our district, so students have an incentive to come to school. Learning should not be a chore. We need to bring students the enjoyment. We're talking about joy of learning. If they enjoy learning, they will thrive. And those are the resources that we're lacking and services that we're lacking in our schools. And we have to redirect those resources to our students, be student oriented, and give them an incentive. Make them get up and go, I want to go to school today. I've seen pictures of students who are so excited to go to school in their first grade picture. When they're in the 12th grade, they have this look like, get me the hell out of here. What are we doing to the students from kindergarten to 12th grade? We're not giving them an incentive to want to learn, to want to be there. And that's what we need to do, is to redirect those services.
Do we have time for one more, or are we done?
No, that's fine. One more.
Okay. One more? Okay. And then your top priority is fiscal accountability for the bond for Measure S. So how are you going to provide that accountability quickly?
Well, hopefully we'll get a new board, right? Because we wasted Measure J funds on spending on a monstrosity that's now costing more than $49 million in a theater with a dying performing arts theater in Fairfield High. They were not really investing in our theater programs. So I'm going to make sure that Measure S funds are not wasted and that we have PLA programs. Our facilities committee just this last week struck an item to address PLAs. So make sure that our unions are supported, that we have PLAs, that Measure S is not spent frivolously on pet projects. And that's why I think is so important, and fiscal responsibility is so important. Plus, we have so much bureaucracy in the district that needs to be addressed.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Gracias.
De nada. Well, now we're going to be hearing from Audra Orr.
Okay, I know I saw you there.
She's there.
There we go. I see you. I'm going to spotlight you. You got to unmute yourself, though.
Working on it there.
Okay, and let me know when you're ready and I'll start the timer.
All right, I'm ready.
Go for
Hi,
it.
everyone. Thank you for giving us time to speak tonight. I'm Audra Orr. I was born and raised in small town Kentucky in a blue collar family. I really am a coal miner's daughter. I had a grandfather who didn't go to school not one day in his life because he was sent to work at the age of 7 to support his family. I went to public school all 12 years, and I'm grateful for that. I then went to State University because I knew that education was my path to a successful future. I've always been drawn to careers in service. So after college, I went into the Air Force. I retired from the Air Force Reserves as a lieutenant colonel. I also retired with over 20 years in law enforcement between Vacaville Police Department and California Department of Justice. In between active duty Air Force and Vacaville Police Department, I was a paraprofessional in Kentucky for a year. Now, when I'm elected, my 4 priorities will be to increase community involvement in the schools, which goes hand in hand with my second priority of better preparing our high school students for life after graduation by increasing our CTE options, especially in our traditional trades areas. Third, I want to improve the safety and mental health environment of our classrooms. And fourth, I will also focus on recruitment and retention of quality staff. Now, what do I bring to the table? The diversity of my experience. Through various jobs and positions that I've held, I've done a lot of different things, like worked with multi-million-dollar budgets. I've been on a union board, worked with numerous community groups as a volunteer. I have a master's degree and I have lots of experience in leadership, policy development, adult instruction, curriculum development, team building, and creative problem solving. I'm excited about this opportunity to give back to my community, and I hope to have your support in doing so.
Excellent timing.
Thank you.
Just in case anybody is wondering, when I tell somebody they have excellent timing, they either stopped or just short of, or right when the timer goes off. 4 questions. Let's see. First, which district are you running for? Which?
Oh, I'm sorry. Vacaville Unified School District, Area 4.
Excellent job. Thank you. Okay. What services do you think are lacking in Vacaville Unified for the students, and how will you address that?
Like everyone else, we have a teacher shortage, especially in the special education area. And that it's a matter of, it's the recruitment and retention, also working with the union and with the special education teachers. I think there are a whole lot of things we can do there. A lot of it's going to be looking out. I think we can benchmark off of other areas, find out what other areas are doing, maybe looking at looking into some training programs, getting involved in things like that. But I think we're going to need to look out and see what are other people doing and try to get creative on how we get people in there. But it's also going to start with some competitive pay and benefits packages. One of my big things is the CTE area. Vacaville's done a good job in the last few years of increasing that, but I think we can do a whole lot more. We need to really improve in our traditional trades areas like welding, the multi-craft core curriculum, things that our students can come out and get paying apprenticeships right out of high school. I think we can partner hand in hand with our local businesses and get them trained employees walking right out of high school. And at the same time, our students are coming out and walking into jobs. I think it's a win-win situation right there for everyone. And then also mental health resources. I mean, we need that so badly for our students down in the lower grades, kids that didn't get that early intervention during the pandemic, kids that didn't get the social skills, kids that didn't get identified that needed help. And then also our high school students. I listened to a presentation to the school board by our high school students equity committee, and they stood there and said they need mental health resources. that those were one of the 2 items that they worked on throughout the school year that they need help on.
So how would you respond to those trying to use schools to push an extremist right-wing agenda?
First of all, when I get elected, that's not part of mine. That's with my background in law enforcement and the military. I have no problem with, I don't get triggered by people name calling and saying that I have an agenda. No, I don't have an agenda that I can stand up and tell someone, no, that's not how we're going to do something. I will listen to someone without a problem, but we're not bringing religion or political agendas into the board. We're focused on the students. And yes, I'll listen to you, but we're bringing it back to the students. Is this part of education? If it's not part of education and providing for a quality education, a safe educational environment, then it doesn't need to be part of the school system.
Just going back to the mental health of it all, one of the biggest hurdles in that is having trained professionals to hire, because quite frankly, you're at a nationwide shortage at this point.
Yes, absolutely.
So how would you work on that recruitment for filling those kind of jobs?
Part of that is working with our HR, looking at, I fully believe in copying off of others who are doing a good job of it. Let's look at other districts and ones who don't have an issue, or ones who seem to be doing a good job of it. And what are they doing? Well, let's talk to other people and see what they're doing, see how they're bringing people in. A lot of it comes down to competitive pay and benefits as well. And once we get them here, we have to keep them here. We have to have a healthy work environment as well. That means listening to people, making sure that people want to come back to work, and making sure that they feel respected, that we don't have discrimination going on within our work environment, that people feel that it's a good place for them to be. But a lot of it is going to be, and I don't have the answers to everything, but I fully believe in bringing in experts and putting together a good team to brainstorm and to figure out what's the best way to handle this.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Audra.
Thank you.
And let's hear from Perry Polk.
I know I saw him here.
He was here.
There you are.
There
I
he
see
is.
you. Okay, we are spotlighted and we're on a timer. So let me know when you're ready and I'll press start.
I'm ready.
Go ahead.
And I want you to know that I have been a registered Democrat since I was allowed to pay my Texas poll tax in 1961. That was an interesting experience. So why do I want to serve on the school board continuing? This is a critical time in the life of the district. We need to elect the best qualified people. And I bring a distinctive experience, training, and education, and an understanding of school district operations. I've been in the seat for a total of 5 years, 4 years in earlier time and the year now. What strengths will I bring as a board member? Throughout most of my life, I've been a coalition builder. The board is and will be made up of different personalities. We have to work together, and it takes a person with skills in decision-making and conflict management to reach consistent consensus and to allow the district to move forward. We haven't had those in the past. I bring those skills. I bring experience in public decision-making. My track record in analyzing and understanding the implications of potential decisions is well known. I study proposals and consider alternatives. I bring experience in dealing with the district budget. I've experienced the best of times and the worst of times in budgets. I know how to read financial statements, and I understand the complexity of the budget, both from the administrator's perspective and the board member's perspective. I bring an experience in problem solving with a foundation in finance and economics. I bring an understanding of people. I bring a wider understanding of the motivations of people and of their physical, cognitive, moral, and spiritual makeup.
Thank
And
you.
I bring a lifelong experience in public education.
Thank you so much. Okay, so starting out with questions, what services do you think are lacking for the students in Fairfield Sassoon, and how will you address that?
One of the big issues, and most everybody has mentioned this in all of our school districts, is to improve our CTE, technical training for students. We're working hard to redo our CTE facilities and also to improve what we do now. But that's an important part of our work. Not everybody is going to want to go to college, and not everybody should. As a matter of fact, we need plumbers more than we need professors. So it's an important thing for us to emphasize that. That's the biggest thing. The other thing that I think is important is to build an understanding of arts and music in our district. Kids get turned on by this, no question about that. It's one of the most enjoyable things about it. That's one of the things that enlightened me. My 8th grade art teacher was a wonderful person. Unfortunately, I'm not a musician, and so that didn't work out very well, but I've learned an appreciation for it. This is what the basic things are about educating people.
Okay. What makes you a stakeholder in the district? I suppose, you have people who are in the unions, you have parents who have children in the district. What is your stakeholder position in this
My
district?
stakeholder is that I've been in this community for 44 years. I believe in public education. That's the most important thing that we do. Anything beyond public education is a mistake. We can take advantage of our opportunity to train the next 2 generations. And it's important for us to do that. I think the answer to the question, frankly, is my passion for public education. My youngest stepdaughter graduated from Fairfield High School a long time ago. Her daughter is about to enter a 2nd year of college. So I don't have any kids in the thing, but I consider all of the children in Fairfield Sassoon as my children, and I want to make sure that they have a quality education, 100%.
Okay, and you list your priority number 1 as the financial viability of the district. How will you plan to implement that in this next term?
We're in an awkward situation. The state budget is our primary source of funding, and our state budget's a wreck. We know that we're going to have bad times ahead. So the thing that we have to do is to focus on what we can do to make sure we have a balanced budget as we go forward. One of those things is to not fill vacancies when we have vacancies. And I'm not talking about teacher vacancies, but classified employee vacancies and administrative vacancies. The second thing is we need to slow down on some of our preventive maintenance. That's a very critical thing for us to do. That is to maintain maintenance. But on the other hand, that's an opportunity for us to save some money going forward. We need to look seriously at where our declines in student population is occurring and how that shift is occurring. That may mean that we need to take a look at how our schools are structured. We already have made some changes to move 6th grade children into middle schools rather than keeping them in a K-8 environment. That's probably going to be necessary in the future. We may very well have to look at closing schools in the future too. Another issue is I think we can look seriously at paying down some of our reserves. We have healthy reserves, thank goodness. Maybe now's the time to use those rainy day reserves.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Perry. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Now let's welcome Nikki Parr.
Good evening. Can you hear
Good
me?
evening. I can
Yes.
hear you. You are spotlighted. I apologize. We're getting a little late, but we're going to keep trucking. Okay, when you're ready, I'm ready. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm ready. Good evening. I'm Dr. Nikki Parr, and I'm running for the Fairfield-Sassoon Unified School Board Area 7. I bring a wealth of experience and a deep understanding of our district to this role, having served as a special education teacher, principal, director, and currently senior director at the Solano County Office of Education. I have dedicated my career to meeting the needs of all students, especially those who require additional support to reach their full potential. I'm running to put my knowledge and skills to work in my community. I understand the California Education Code, how schools are financed, and most importantly, how to move partner organizations such as the departments within Solano Health and Human Services to coalesce around the needs of our community using collective impact to solve problems. If elected, I will work daily to listen deeply to the community and lift their voices in determining the best strategy to address challenges in our educational system. My priorities include student achievement, and student achievement is accomplished by implementing proven instructional methods, investing in teacher training and support, and utilizing data-driven strategies to raise academic outcomes. My next priority, school safety and positive school climate. We are in the middle of a youth mental health crisis. I will work to ensure every student has access to mental health and wellness services that support their social, emotional, mental health, and overall wellness. And we also need to be cognizant of our staff. I will advocate for supporting teachers and school staff concerning job-related stress while serving students and families. My next priority, parent and community engagement. I will promote various engagement strategies to create and maintain productive and effective communication and partnerships between parents, students, school staff, families, and the community. And finally, fiscal transparency. I will ensure all fiscal decisions are made with input from the community, emphasizing the voices of the community, and that decisions are of how resources are allocated equitably.
Thank you very much. Okay, so for our first question, what do you think the deficiencies in special education within Fairfield Sassoon are, and how will you address those?
Okay, well, there is an over-reliance on special education as a tool when a student is not reaching certain milestones. I, as a former special education teacher and principal, have seen over the years the number of instances where there are referrals to special education because of reasons that are not necessarily related to a special education need. Every time a referral comes in for special education, that pulls our school psychologists, our resource specialists away from their daily work with their students with IEPs to do these assessments. And many times the students don't necessarily qualify. What I would be proposing is moving to do upstream work. What are the interventions and how are we ensuring that there are prevention and early intervention programs that students are accessing so that we can address if there's an academic concern. We can address if there's a social emotional concern. I also see a disproportionate number of African American young men who are referred to special education for social emotional behavioral challenges. And I would definitely want to look at that because the more that we can hone in on really identifying what the need is and what the intervention is, and whether or not we even need to be moving toward special education assessment, working with those families to make sure that they understand what the school is doing to help support the student, and ultimately reducing the number of unnecessary assessments for special education, especially in light of the fact that we have such a teacher shortage in special education.
Okay. And then what services do you think are lacking for the students in Fairfield Sassoon, and how would you address that?
School-based mental health. I heard one of the individuals mention being with a group of students and hearing from them recently about the need for mental health services. Our young people are screaming out to us. Our youth coalition, if you talk to those young people prior to the pandemic, so that we're talking before the pandemic, they were mentioning mental health. There's a lot of research right now about the impacts of social media on youth And as a parent of 3 teenagers, I can understand how difficult and challenging it can be to try to regulate in the home the impacts of social media. So mental health, we need to increase prevention. We need to be assessing young people regularly to check in to see how they are feeling emotionally. We have data from our California Healthy Kids Survey that also illustrates that kids are saying that they need support right now. And the ways that I would be really supporting the district in this role is that the governor has put over $5 billion with a B, $5 billion in school-based mental health under the Children's Youth Behavioral Health Initiative. And there is an opportunity right now for school districts to learn how to bill private insurance. So there is an opportunity for revenue, which touches upon the issues around some of the fiscal and financial challenges that are facing the district. So right now, districts are providing, and I know Fairfield provides mental health services, and unless they are a Medi-Cal eligible student, we didn't have a mechanism for billing, but now we can bill Kaiser, TRICARE, all of the different insurance companies. It's going to be a heavy lift. It's going to take a couple of years, but we need to get on that road. There's also a variety of different programs, grants that will help districts who are interested in implementing some of these additional services. Finally, our school wellness centers. We have 50 school wellness centers across the county. I want to bring those wellness centers to our community in Fairfield. And what our young people are telling us is that they don't necessarily need a clinician. They're telling us that they need a caring adult who has had some training in how to identify typical behavior and atypical behavior and how to get students to resources. So I'm very encouraged by the newly created wellness coach position that is being pushed out also by the state to get individuals who are not licensed certified to be a wellness coach in schools. So there's a lot of work that's happening. I want to make sure that Fairfield is on the front end of that work and receiving and reaping all of the benefits.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you for being here. We're now going to hear from Burjette Hunley.
Okay, let's spotlight. You are muted and I am ready when you are.
Unmute. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for having us all yesterday at the wonderful candidate meet and greet. I want to thank this club for all the work that we do, or you do, for electing Democrats up and down the ticket. It's one of my great honors that one of the first elected offices I served in right after college was as vice president of this club. I am a parent, a wife of an over 30-year CTA member and special education teacher. I was chair of the Solano County Democratic Central Committee for 10 years, from 2010 to 2020. I've served on the State Superintendent of Public Instruction's Education Task Force since 2011, producing white papers and documents. As a more than almost 30-year resident of Fairfield and a parent to my daughter Hannah, I care deeply about our public schools, and I'm running for Fairfield-Sassoon Unified School District Governing Board Area 3 because I care deeply about the quality of our public education. As a board member, I aim to collaborate with all our community partners, including parents, teachers, classified employees, and more, students and labor, to bring common sense solutions that help to make a difference in improving our services and resources that we offer all our students. On the board, I plan to advocate to support all our students, including LGBTQIA students. I think it's critical that we work collaboratively and listen to all diverse perspectives when making decisions. And I also think we need to invest deeply in career technical education, librarians, special education, and other areas. Thank you so much for having me here tonight, and I ask for your vote for endorsement and your vote for Area 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So let's get over to questions. So for you, what do you think the deficiencies in special education within Fairfield-Sassoon are, and how would you address it?
All right, so I think that we really need to make significant investments in employee recruitment and retention in special education. I think we need to be creative in how we bring in new employees. I think we need to provide training. I think we need to provide scholarships. I think we strongly need to support increasing teacher, nurse, and librarian and psychologist salaries all around special education, obviously special education as well. The cost of living crisis has clearly impacted our teachers and special education particularly. And we need to support our educational partners to stay in our communities and support our students and families. I support strong investments also in employee health care and benefits, as well as mental health care benefits. So all our employees have the high quality health insurance they need to remain in the district. Because as we know, special education is especially challenging, and we need to support our teachers so that they can be there to support our students, parents, and families. Thank you.
Excellent. So next, specifically, what services do you think are lacking for the students in Fairfield Sassoon, and how would you address that?
Excellent, excellent. Well, I think we need a variety of additional services. I think we need more STEAM services, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Arts are very important. I agree with Anna Patera on that as well. I agree we need more mental health care services, which is why we need more school psychologists. But I also agree with her on some of these wellness coaches as well. I think that's great. I think it's very critical also that we support the community schools program, because I think that would help to provide more local services at the school site level, which is moving decisions from the district office to the school site level. So each schools can meet collaboratively with the parents and students to figure out what's best for that district, because what each school needs is often different based on what they have in their schools.
Excellent. And then as one of your priorities, you talk about the fiscal responsibility. How exactly would you strike that balance in this next term between making sure that the budget is met, but also making sure that students and staff are supported?
And that's a great question. Well, first of all, I strongly support fiscal responsibility, but I do not think we should balance that on the backs of students, teachers, and families. I support doing public-private partnerships. CTA has some great plans for that, government grants. I think that we really need, if we do have to have budget cuts, I believe I would firmly oppose layoffs and school closures, which I feel those disproportionately would impact the most marginalized communities. I think if budget cuts are needed, I would make it a priority to meet with all affiliates and get their perspectives and lived experiences on that. But I would definitely look to cutting down on facilities, things like that. But I would never, ever, ever do layoffs for teachers or classified employees. I would not approve that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Brigitte. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now we're going to hear from Audrey Jacks.
And let's go ahead and spotlight you. And we will not shortchange you, but we are going to be quick sauce. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Go
I'm
for
gonna
it.
try to bring some caffeine in. I know it's been a long night so far. Thank you so much for being here and allowing me to speak. My name is Audrey Jakes. I'm running for Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District, a trustee area 2. I was born and raised in Massachusetts, but moved to California 38 years ago, and I've taught in Fairfield Sassoon for 36 years. I've had a great opportunity to not just teach in the classroom in elementary and middle school, but I've also had the opportunity to coach beginning teachers. I've written and designed and presented curriculum to teachers in their classrooms. I've been a professional development presenter throughout the state. And so those opportunities have really afforded me a really well-rounded background in education. For the past 2 years, I've been out of my classroom on a grant, first from National Education Association and currently from CTA. And the grants were to bring community schools foundation work to our districts so that we could actually realize community schools. And now I'm out as the second grant is to serve as an organizer for our teachers union. I'm running for school district because I am passionate about education. This has been my life's work. And I truly feel that I have the innovative problem-solving approach that I could be a member of a school board that as a team, we could bring our district where it needs to be and provide every student with the schools that they deserve.
Excellent. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get your first question ready. If you could you please describe community schools and what exactly you mean by that?
I would love to. So, community schools is a nationwide movement to bring an integrated approach to public schools. And so it's built quickly, it's built on 4 pillars. One is to integrate student and family supports in a school, provide enriched and expanded learning opportunities to students, involve families and community partners, but the most important pillar is that a community school is based on shared decision making. So right now we're in a structure of top-down decision making where management decides everything and it is disseminated out to sites. A community school will work off of a steering committee comprised of teachers, parents, students, community partners, administrators, management, but everyone would have parity at the steering committee. So the decisions made at the site level stay in the school. It's not taken away and changed by the district office. So the power of community schools is that it's not only engaging our students and giving them what they need in our schools, but it is involving parents. And that's how we'll turn our district around, is when parents have an actual say in the schools that their student attends.
Excellent. Thank you so much. What services do you think are lacking for the students in Fairfield-Sassoon, and how would you address that?
I agree with so many other people that spoke about this. We need an expanded and robust CTE program. We have done a lot to do to build our career and technical training programs, but there's so much more that we need to do. Because in Fairfield, we've had an almost laser-like focus on every child is going to college, every child is college ready, and that's simply not true. As a mother of 2, I have one of my children is a college graduate, and the other, that was not his path. So to force everyone into one pathway is really diminishing opportunities for our students to live their full lives and have a career that they want to have. I also agree that special ed is a huge focus area. We have done a tremendous amount of work in our union to work with special ed teachers to have conversations for now well over 5 years. And we were instrumental in getting a separate salary schedule together to be able to attract and retain our special ed teachers, which is so crucial for our students' success. So in addition to those 2 things, plus community schools, I think those are the resources our students need.
Thank you so much. That was an excellent job.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much.
Like to call on Michael Kitsis.
I do not see you, Michael. If you
Here
start,
I am.
there you are. I gotcha.
Hello.
Okay, let me know when you're ready and I'll press start.
I am ready.
Go for it.
So I bring 26 years of experience as a mental health clinician to senior manager at Solano County Behavioral Health. That's where I've worked for the last 26 years. I am in charge of the outpatient mental health clinics for Solano County for children. I also have 20 plus years on the VUSD school board. So I'm a veritable old timer. And, you know, I really think that, like I said, I've been in Vacaville Unified a long time. I think Vacaville Unified, not to say anything negative about any other districts, is the gem of Solano County. I think that we have what starts out as very important as a functional board. We've had a functional board for a long time. There's a lot of trust. There's a lot of shared passion for doing the right thing for kids. And we have a very good relationship with our administration. We recently got a new superintendent last year, Ed Santapadre, who's been actually in the district for 20 years. So we went inside and there's a lot of consensus. The 3 main things I want to do is I want to pass a bond this time. It's very important for us. We have a lot of impaction in our elementary schools. So I have been a leading proponent of, we're going to build if we do get the bond, which I think we're going to build a new middle school. And we're going to take the 6th graders that are in the elementary schools, and we're going to move them to the 3 middle schools, because now we're going to have 3 when we build this next one. And the importance of that, again, is that will free up a lot of, she's counting me down. I forgot there was time. Also, budget and bringing stuff together after COVID and teacher retention. Thank you.
Whoop, whoop. You did it.
I got a
Okay.
lot to say. I've been around a long time.
You know, it's also late and we're gonna start having people falling asleep, mainly me.
You do whatever you need to do.
Okay, so what do you think are the deficiencies in special education within Vacaville Unified, and how would you address that?
First of all, special education is difficult everywhere. It's very challenging. It's very difficult. There are a lot of rules, and it takes a lot of resources. In fact, this year, we're approaching in our budget almost 20% special education. So in our budget of about 175, 180 million, 34 million from general fund goes towards special ed. So the big problem is we don't get funding. We don't get funding from the federal government. We don't get funding from the state. Originally, how it was set up was that federal government was supposed to pay for most of special ed, but they don't. So it's a big problem trying to garner the resources that we need in order to give all the services we need to kids. And, we always have to focus on what kids really need to be separate, which is few, but it needs to happen, and mainstreaming most of the other kids.
Okay. And then what services do you think are lacking for the students in your district, and how will you be addressing that?
Well, I think we've addressed it a lot in the last 8 or 10 years, and I think we're pretty good when it comes to services. One of the things that happened with COVID is that all the school districts got a lot of money, and we were able to spend some of that money in different places to shore things up with things like intervention, a lot of reading intervention. I think we're doing pretty well in services. We have a lot of CTE services. We've really focused on that the last 4 years or so. So I think we're kind of fine tuning a lot of stuff and don't have a lot of major stuff to do in that regard.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you
You're
for being
welcome.
here. We're going to hear now, our last person is Daniel Garcia.
We saved the best for last, I'm sure.
Thank you. I'll be fast though. So
Welcome, Daniel.
I'm calling it. We're getting the best right here.
all right. So let me go ahead and start introducing myself. I'm Daniel Garcia. I am born and raised in Fairfield, California. Went through the Fairfield schools. I've lived in Vacaville for 8 years, going on 9 years now. I am an educator. I've worked as a teacher and administrator for the Fairfield Student Unified School District for the past 8 years, overseeing the after-school programs for our marginalized students in our district. I taught 6th grade. I was a special education teacher. A lot of special ed talk here, so it brings warmness to my heart when we talk about special ed and all the issues that we have. So I'm running for Vacaville School Board to ensure that students are given an equitable education and to ensure that our students get what they need, special education or gen ed students.
Oh, excellent. Okay, let me go ahead and reset this. You really are doing the best. Okay. So since we want to talk about special education, there are currently quite a few openings for paraeducators and special ed teachers within Vacaville Unified.
Yep.
How would you fill those positions?
So I think Vacaville did a good step with having that 1.10 salary schedule, so 110% salary schedule for special education teacher. I think we need to keep going in that way. But I think the most important part of special education is working conditions. What are the working conditions for our teachers? I think promoting the continuum of services that Vacaville offers and providing supports to teachers, both gen ed and special ed, especially as we're entering an inclusion model. So ensuring that we have professional development and resources to teachers is the biggest thing for keeping teachers.
Excellent. And then which district are you in again?
I'm running for Vacaville School Board, yes.
Trustee area 2.
Yep.
Okay, sounds good. And then for services, what would you like to see added to available services for Vacaville Unified students?
I think it depends on the students and ensuring that IEPs are being followed. If they're individualized programs, we need to have the programs needed for those. I don't know if it's necessarily, because I know they have SEC, mild mod SEC. My district in Fairfield does not have that. Is ensuring that we have programs necessary for those students. And if they're we might need to expand the offerings for those students. It's not necessarily increasing, is expanding them so that we ensure.
Yeah, I was more thinking like special programs like arts or music
Oh yeah,
or
so
anything
all
like.
this. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, no worries.
So yeah, CTE trades, absolutely. Someone mentioned about working with our unions, our local unions, to get students like welding to enter apprenticeships right after high school. That's what we need to work on. Expanding our offerings at the adult school as well.
Okay.
I'm also an adult school teacher, so.
Okay, and then for I think we pretty much hit the questions. Is there any last priority that you'd like to talk about?
Nope, it's just ensuring that our working conditions and our staff is treated properly so they can treat our students properly so that our students are learning and making those advances they need to be college and career ready once they graduate high school.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
And thank all of you for sitting so patiently and listening so intently to all of our amazing candidates. And we do have a lot of just exceptional people that are running for office. So thanks to all of you. We have 2 business items to do, and then we will be able to conclude. So take a deep breath. And now we're going to do these 2 business items and then conclude.
Swear we will be so quick.
We will, we promise. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this over to our secretary, Nancy Federley, and she's going to be doing some talking. And I think that Julia is going to do a little bit of displaying at the same time. So it's all yours, Nancy.
Okay, so I know it's late. I'll be very brief. I'm going to be talking money tonight, and it was good to see all the candidates. You know, that's what we're all about. One way we help them, a huge way we help them, is by creating our own NSDC postcard mailer during major election cycles, and that's what we're getting ready to do. And we've heard that this is a very effective way of reaching the voters. You've worked so hard for 2 years now raising money, and so now we would like to request that we spend some of it on this, on the printing costs and sending out the mailers to our voters.
Are candidates still in the room?
Oh, yes, I will remove them.
Sorry, Don.
I apologize. Oh, wait, no, you can go back. She doesn't count. She's not running a campaign. Anna, I'm sorry, you are in the waiting room.
You want us just to log out?
You can go either log off or you can go in the waiting room. Either way works for me. I just need to. Audra.
Don, thank you for reminding us. It's been a long meeting. Thank you.
Put in waiting room. Jeanette's not running this year. Who else am I looking at? Am I missing anybody? Yeah, one. Is that it? Did I hit everybody?
Honestly, Julia, I can't see anyone except the side of the screen. So you are probably seeing more than I am.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you.
I just need somebody else to double check me because my brain. Guys,
I'm not
it's
seeing
past 8
anybody.
o'clock. Okay, sounds good. I will
don't
go
see
back to
anybody.
share.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so for the last several weeks, I've been doing cost estimates. I've been calling printers, getting information on producing a postcard. One of our goals was to have a larger postcard than we did before. So I've been pricing out The 5.5 by 8.5, we also had a goal of having color on both sides, which is what I've been pricing out. And so these are the results. I've called a lot of printers and talked to a lot of different places for mailing also. The one that seems to have the best deal for us is Abco Printing in Concord. It is a union shop. It does printing for Contra Costa Democrats. Jeannie and I went down and we talked to the person there, and we're very impressed with them, the way they handled themselves, and the fact that they were very accommodating to us. We got a price from them, the estimate for doing 28,000, which is what we're planning on sending out, 28,000 cards. 5.5 by 8.5, that's basically like a half sheet of paper. Full color on both sides. It's based on sending out 2 different designs, because that's how it's priced. With a price break at 10,000. The 2 different cards, one would go to Fairfield Sassoon, the other one would go to Vacaville Dixon, and it would have the different candidates from those particular areas. The price that they quoted us was based on a $10,000 level, and the price for 28,000 cards is estimated at $5,600. They don't charge tax on it. In fact, they will take them to the mailing house, free delivery, and then we can save the cost of tax on it. The mailing costs, again, I priced that out at different places. The best one that we could find is the one that we've used before. That's Assistance Plus in Fairfield. We have used them before. They are the lowest price compared to others that I priced out. Now, one of the considerations here is that postage has gone up. And so that's one of the reasons the cost for the whole project has gone up. Their mailing service is very reasonable, $22.87 for the 28,000 cards. The postage is going to run $9,912. That's a subtotal of about $12,199. You have to add to that the estimate. We have to get mailing lists. We have to provide the mailing house with mailing lists, targeted mailing lists. We're figuring about $1,500 for that. Again, this is an estimate. And so the estimated mailing cost would be $13,699, which brings us for 28,000 cards, which is a lot of cards, to the 4 different areas, 19,299. So what we would like to ask the club is to approve a budget. We're going to be asking you to approve a budget up to $21,000. That gives us, because we're dealing with estimates, that gives us a little room there. And so we're asking for that tonight so we can proceed by getting this set up in time for the postcards. We're hoping the postcards can actually hit the voters at the first week in October, which is when the mail-in ballots come out. Okay, and that's it. Could I have a motion to approve the budget?
We do have a question on what percentage of voters will be reached in the targeted cities.
Okay, Don, you might have to help me with that.
Give me a minute. I'm pulling up the answer.
But I want to say that last year we did 4 out of 5 and 5 out of 5 Democratic and lean Democratic voters.
And that was to targeted areas for the specific races that were being contested.
Yeah, so as Don looks, the challenge is you've got districts and school districts and city council districts. But there's no at large, right, for any of these. Well, yeah, no at large.
So each of the postcards would literally have every single candidate for each of the districts.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm just thinking of the mailing. Yeah.
Yeah, so it would just be 2 of them. So one batch would go to Vacaville area
and
Dixon area.
Yeah.
Then the other one would go to Fairfield and Sassoon.
Yeah, I guess the reason I asked that question is because it seems like a very small number of postcards considering the likely voter turnout?
Don will answer that question when he is able. Tanya, to answer your question, Vallejo is not in our area of influence. So we only have 4 cities technically in our area. We don't have Rio Vista, Benicia, or Vallejo.
And that, as planned, that's roughly 60, well, over 60% of all Democratic households in Dixon, Fairfield, Sassoon, and Vacaville. And as was pointed out, in 3 of the races, we're having district-only races, so they'll be carving that out. So we are targeting mid and high propensity voters, most likely. So it will be getting to the vast bulk of those who are expected to be voting.
Well, 28,000, as Merrill said, it seems low, but if you can surgically target districts, I think that may well be done. So good work.
Okay, so I will make the motion to approve $21,000 for the production and mailing of the postcards.
I'll second it.
Wonderful.
Okay, I will go ahead and launch the poll.
So next month we vote on who we endorse?
Yes.
So we'll be doing that at our September 9th meeting.
Hey, Katrina, your hand is up. Did you have something you wanted to talk about? Just go ahead and unmute yourself. I can ask you to unmute if you want. There you go.
I just want to know if the printing will have the union bug.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We get our little notation on there.
As Nancy and the others are probably annoyed by me now, that's one of the things I insist on, is that we use union printers.
Yes. And the printer
Nobody's
was very quick to let us know that she does do that. So she knew that would be important.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll and share the results. So thank you all so much for approving this. Thank you all so much for all of the fundraising that we have done over the past few years. This is why we do it. As Kate Patrice pointed out, she thought the mailer was quite effective in her election. Quite frankly, I think she won by 1 or 5 votes. So like it matters on the margins. And quite frankly, we have enough swingy areas that it would be really lovely it's going to be nice to have it out. Okay.
Thank you.
I am done.
Yay. Okay, we have only one more thing to do. We're going to have a very, very quick discussion about a request made by the Christopher Cabaldon campaign about asking for the club's financial support for an upcoming fundraising event. I'm going to ask Timothy Knox to speak very briefly.
Absolutely. Well, hello, NSDC. My name is Timothy Knox here on behalf of Christopher Cabaldon. So once again, we're asking NSDC to sponsor Christopher Cabaldon's Beyond Teen fundraising dinner that is happening on the 22nd of this month from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Filipino American Community Center in Vallejo. We would love it if the club would consider sponsoring. Sponsorship opportunities range from $200 to $1,000, and I'll put the link in the chat with what the benefits are for each one of those levels. The funds are going to be, the funds raised are going to go towards supporting Christopher's campaign and electing other Democrats and other state Senate seats, as well as local Democrats running for local offices all throughout Senate District 3. So your sponsorship will not only go to the benefits outlined on Act Blue, but also, which include, tickets and public recognition, but will continue to strengthen the relationship between the 3rd Senate District's largest and most active Democratic club and California's first Filipino American state senator. Christopher appreciates the NSDC's endorsement and the work NSDC members do, from writing postcards to canvassing, which are all essential to keeping Solano blue. And so I'm going to put the link in the chat and some information. And I very much appreciate your guys' time and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Dwayne,
So-
go ahead.
Well, didn't even think about this. So the postcards we're talking about, they will also include Christopher, for example, and I'm assuming Lori Wilson.
Yes.
Okay.
We also can't talk about the postcards anymore.
Yeah.
I let everybody back in.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. So
It's okay. Um, so do we have any questions or nope. Okay. Well then, oh, Dawn, go ahead.
I just want to point out that with the vote you just took, we have slashed our balance by 3/4. We are down to a little over $7,000 in the bank. So, and as was alluded to, we are already the action we just took will be supporting all of our endorsed candidates. So just keep that in mind.
Okay, with that being said, I will make the motion to approve $600 or up to $600 for a sponsorship for this fundraiser. It would include 6 tickets. Quentin? Do you have
Oh,
something?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No.
I just wanted to suggest, and maybe you were going the same direction, that that the sponsorship includes 6 tickets. There may be, in the past, we have sometimes sponsored things and club members have paid for a ticket through the sponsorship. So I just wanted to suggest that.
That was exactly where I was going.
We're on the same page.
You read my mind. What we can do is individual tickets are $40 is we can sponsor the $600 and then if 6 people would like to go pay the $40 individual ticket, which would subsidize that sponsorship cost. Jeannie.
I did want to make mention that we did just finish voting on a very large package to be supportive of all the candidates that we will be endorsing. And certainly we did endorse Christopher Cabaldon proudly at the beginning before the primary. And so I think that that what we have already voted on actually, to me, would seem to be a very good way to support that really important candidate who is running for the state senate.
Okay. And Marianne, go ahead.
I was just going to point out, given what Jeannie just said, we have voted to sponsor other people in the past. So it's kind of not fair that we might not vote to support or sponsor this one just because it happens to be taking place at the same time we're voting on postcards, as opposed to somebody that we sponsored a month ago.
Normally we don't sponsor individual campaigns. We sponsor like the central committee fundraisers and whatnot. I fully hear what you're saying. But I just wanted to point that one out.
Yeah, we haven't done that.
We haven't done that at all, like with Garamendi or anybody?
No,
Okay.
Nope.
not in the regular election cycle. We did contribute in the special elections because we were not ourselves doing any action on our own for those candidates. So in lieu of doing our usual efforts, we made contributions to Amy and to Dave last fall in their specials.
Kathy, your hand is up. Oh, it says you're not muted, but it
Maybe her volume is down.
Well, I find that so hard to believe
no,
about
you're good.
me,
You're
but-
good. Keep
Okay.
keep talking.
There, is that better?
Yes.
Yes.
I agree with Jeannie. I think that it's huge, the postcards, and we can certainly encourage everybody that can attend to attend. We've done other things. We've done meet and greets. I'm kind of one of those people that hate to see our finances get too low and then something come up and we can't do it because we committed so early on. That's just my thought. I love Christopher. He's got my vote. There's no doubt about it. But I think that we have to weigh the ask with being able to do as much as we want to do for everybody. That's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Do we have anyone else's hands?
I have put out a motion for 600 to approve up to $600. If does anybody want to second that?
I would second it.
Okay. So let's go ahead and put out the poll, and then unless there are any additional comments. Okay, seeing none, Quentin.
Oh, wait a minute, we have a hand up.
I'll do one more additional comment. I just wanted to also emphasize that this isn't directly to his campaign. It's just to focus on what it is as well. It's also a cultural recognition night that, for our first Filipino state senator. I think that like it gives us a really good outreach opportunity to the community to say, like, this is a community that we haven't been integrated in the same ways that we've been integrated in others. So I just wanted to also second that in terms of what this night is.
And Timothy, if you have anything else you'd like to say, feel free. Margie, your hand is up.
I just want to repeat what other people have said, that this doesn't have to come out of our budget. We're just putting our name on it because we're going to have our club members buy the tickets back from the club. So it gets us a place to sit with our club name, but it doesn't take away from our club budget.
I will point out that the individual tickets we were saying were $40. So if we charge the $40, it would be I'm sorry, give me 1 second.
I can do the math real quick. It would be $360 from the club, $240 collectively from the 6 individuals.
Thank you. And then Dr. McCullough. You are muted. There you go.
Okay. Is there a lower amount than 600?
Yes, there is. There is
And for how many?
$200 for two tickets.
Well, that's too low. Well, recently some of us, got together and we went to support a congressman, and just 7 or 8 folks just say, yes, I will go. And so we don't take the funds out of our hard-earned money, still support him. And someone can just organize a sponsorship.
I don't know if that is possible in time, but I fully understand where you're going with that. Anna, go ahead.
I would just like to echo what board members of Voice said about supporting this. Look, this is a very, very important election. We're supporting a state senator for this election. We have a Republican in the race as well. I think our presence and the name at the table brings awareness to saying publicly that we support this candidate. And I think it's important for us to have a presence there and to say we're mailing flowers and everything, but in the presence of other people, they see that we're supporting that. And I think having our name on that brings more awareness and more support for the candidate. I think it's important. We did emergency ones, like I said, last year for 2 candidates who are running for school board. We made an exception. I think this is so important that we maintain the majority in the state Senate. And I think supporting this one candidate is so important because the other candidate is right here in Vacaville, or Dixon rather, right? I think our presence makes sure that Solano County supports Christopher Cabaldon. That's my 2 cents.
Don?
Yeah, I just again want to point out that what we have traditionally done is during the regular election cycle, we focus on our own work with the postcards rather than donating to individual candidates, and making an exception for a single candidate does seem somehow unfair to the other candidates. And quite candidly, unless something's dramatically changed in that district recently, I don't think that that Christopher has much to worry about from his Republican opponent. Yes, it's very good for us to support him. I agree with that, but I think that what we have focused on historically on doing with our own efforts is better, and he's getting support along with any of our other endorsed candidates through that effort. So I think there's a matter of balance there, and I just would encourage people to think long and hard about that.
Okay, Marianne.
Okay, one is to that point, Dawn might be correct, but don't forget we have diehard Republicans out there that are not going to vote for any Democrat, period, no matter how good a candidate they may be or how bad the other person may be. And two, I just want to ask a question. This is kind of bugging me. Somebody, I think Francis, somebody mentioned we would have our name on a table. That's what sponsorship is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at Mike Thompson's dinner here in Vacaville, we had our name on a table. Did we not sponsor that?
No.
Why did we have our name?
They asked us to ban a table.
Yeah.
Did you what?
We didn't actually pay any money towards it.
Yeah.
Oh,
They just asked us
okay.
to have an informational table. We did not
Oh,
sponsor.
no. I mean to sit at. There was a table that people sat at. Maybe it was personal. I don't know.
I think everybody just decided to sit together.
Believe me, it was not a sponsor table.
No,
No,
it
it
wasn't.
was not.
We didn't.
We did not vote on that. I promise you.
Yeah. Really, Marion,
Okay.
we did not do that. We didn't give any money.
Okay, Wanda and then Dwayne, and you guys, my eyes are drooping. So
Yeah, we got to
so
finish.
we got two more, and then we're gonna vote.
All right, I'm
ahead.
going to make it real fast and quick. I'm going to circle back to what Dr. McCullough said. We recently went to support Mike Thompson. We just all bought our tickets to have that sponsorship. Are there 6 members here willing just to pay $100 each so that we'll have our names there and they go to the event? I mean, that is an option. And then that way our club is still represented at this event. That's just
Okay.
another getting around it. That's all.
Just to get informational purposes, if you would like to physically or with the hand raise button, if you would like to go to this event and pay either $40 or $100, depending on how much we're gonna do, is this something you would be interested in? 1.
I think Quentin's hands up.
2. Okay.
We already have tickets.
Right.
And
Yeah,
my
most people bought tickets already.
And we've already paid for
3.
it, so we.
Okay.
my hand is up and I cannot attend. I have a conflict, but I will donate to that
Okay.
amount.
3. And then Margie, are you saying you want
And some
to
of
do-
us have already done like some people said,
Okay.
purchase the tickets, that is.
So it does look like, so Margie and Bridget, I'm assuming you guys are raising your hand for my question. And so I'm gonna lower everybody's hand and let everybody know that there do seem to be people that would like to be in on this sponsorship. So with that, Dwayne.
Yeah, just real quick. I mean, I adore Christopher. I mean, we had a house party for him here at PVE. We've had him in for speaking events, but I agree that from a club standpoint, for the club to support this particular candidate over everybody else, and Christopher's going to win. He's going to win by a mile, and he's going to be a great senator. And I understand the idea of wanting to have a big war chest as an incoming member of the Senate to help give money to other candidates and to have be able to spread the influence out. But I think in terms of the size of this club, I'm leaning towards the Jeannie Don approach of maybe not so much in this particular case. But again, we bought our tickets. We've got a house party. You don't have to do everything.
Okay.
But if we have 6 folks who have agreed to pay $100, then can't we move forward?
We have 6 folks that agreed to go. There's a few that were at the $40 level, but yeah. I mean, we're gonna go forward with the vote and everybody gets to vote however they want and democracy gets to work.
Okay, but we need to explain what the vote is for. So there are some people that have said that they are going to go.
Okay,
And
so the vote is for the $600 to pay for the sponsorship, with the knowledge that nobody has to pay us back, but we have asked them to pay for their tickets. So that is the understanding that we were going at.
right.
So if there are people, and it does seem like Dr. McCullough would like to sponsor somebody to go, and then there are at least 5 other people that have indicated that they would like to go, mostly at the $40 level. So
Okay.
with that, I am going to launch the poll with the understanding that $600 will come out of our budget for this. And so yeah, okay, launching. Okay. We have another couple seconds left. And we're gonna end the poll. And so unfortunately, this did not pass. So we can revisit other other opportunities to support candidates in other ways beyond the postcards. If you would like to go in on tickets or go in on a table with anybody, let me know and I will absolutely help organize that for everybody and get that done. But this one did not pass. So thank you everybody for your time.
It's not for lack of love for Christopher.
No, it is not at all. As I said in the agenda when I sent it out to everybody, that we were not going to do announcements tonight, but if you do have anything that you would like people to know about, if you have an announcement, send it to me and I will be sending it out with all of the links that came out of the Project 2025 presentation and any other information that was generated up during the meeting. That being said, thank you all for being here for such a long meeting. Thank you for your patience and your good humor. Keep working hard. Keep up with the joy, be joyful, and keep working to keep Solano blue. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Right.
If you have any other things you want to put in the chat, you can also throw that. I'm going to download it in a minute.
Good job, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Oh, she's not even here anymore. Okay. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Julia, do I need to do anything for getting the stuff from the chat?
No, I need to download the chat and pretend
I will,
like I am
I will stay
somewhat
on with
awake.
you while you do it.
I know I saved the chat. I'm not doing anything beyond that tonight. I am tired. We are well past my bedtime, guys.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm toast. I'm
You're
toast.
supposed to be the young one in the group, Julia.
I know. I'm like sitting here going like this, trying to make my eyes open.
I
Okay.
have a child who hates sleeping at night. What do you want from me?
Just stake her outside in the backyard. And
Do you know how often she's been threatened to get raised by the coyotes? It has not been 0 times. It's probably been more than 50 times.
I'm not surprised. I think our parents get to that level at some point.
Okay.
But
We
good
managed-
job, both of you. Great meeting. You
We
did
got through a ton
job,
of people and learned interesting things about a lot of different people. That's
I felt like the interviews went really, really well. I felt like people had answers to the questions.
Yep.
I'm sorry, that was just a very amusing way of phrasing it.
I like that. I like that, Julia. That was good.
They did.
Yep.
And
So,
some of them were very well written too.
yes,
Some were terrifying, but that's fine.
several. But it was great to hear from so many different people and hear so many different viewpoints. I actually enjoyed that very much. So, thank you guys. And Don, I know I'm going to talk to you before you leave on your trip.
Yeah.
So you leave on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll be in touch. And Julia, I will be in touch with
you'll
you
see me,
tomorrow.
very, very soon.
Tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Sleep tight, don't bite the bed bugs, etc., etc.